Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
All right. Good morning, Sandy. How are you? Hello, Sunday. Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Of course I can hear you. You just can't hear me.
I could not hear you. I was like, it's not me. Is it me? Is it me? Wait, could it be me? Am I the problem? No. Anyway, how are you? How was your
saying that I see that you're flying solo again this morning.
Yeah, so Blake is off this week as well. He'll be back. He's been off in Scotland, so the second little week of his holiday, and he'll be back next week. So yeah,
awesome.
Just us again on this week.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So good Easter break, good food, good visiting family, and all stuff.
Everything's been great. Had a really nice staycation.
Oh, did you? Nice.
Oh yes, beautiful.
Where'd you go?
Just a condo, South Sound.
Cool. Oh, that's nice. Nice to be it's nice to be in that area.
Absolutely.
So cool.
All right. So Carifta has been the big news, and it's the story that keeps on giving.
I am telling you,
congratulations.
Some of that. I like, first off, some great athletes we have, but then also the other drama going on. This
I know. It's coming. It's coming.
All right.
But first of all, congratulations to all of our athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They have been really raking up some medals. Both are swimming champions. The last count I had, they had over 13 medals. And that was just on the second day of Carifta. So we're waiting on a medal count update from them. We had Cayman's Devontae Howell, who won the under 20 100-meter gold at Carifta. And we had a young man who won bronze in the long jump. So congratulations, track and field section did pretty okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the medal count, we're halfway, number 6 out of 12. But for small island nation, I say this is fantastic news for us. We've done well. So I want to congratulate the athletes who, by the way, Andrew Stone, he won gold in the under 20 boys long jump at Carifta. And they're going to be returning this afternoon. So Anthony Chin Jr., he won bronze, in the long jump at Carifta as well. So they're all coming back this evening at different times. The swim team comes in, I think, a little bit later than the track and field team. But, well, it wouldn't be, I guess it just wouldn't be an event without a little bit of drama sprinkled in.
Wow, man. I
So
tell you.
we have a young lady who went to coach there at Carifta, some of the athletes that she says that she's been working with. And she was escorted out of that particular area by armed guards in the Bahamas. So this is quite a story. Lacee Barnes, who herself is a multiple gold champion. She did shot put, I believe, as her preferred sport of choice. Says that she was really, really shocked that the Cayman Islands Athletic Association responded in such a way. And she has said that they're not for Caymanian athletes. And so we're going to have that broken down this morning on the show in terms of exactly what that means.
All right. I've been reading some of the stuff trying to keep up, and it sounds pretty crazy if some stuff is true,
Yeah. So we'll get all the details. So tune in. We'll try to break it down for everybody.
Well, I'll let you go and head over to Bobo so you can start your show, and we'll chat with you tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic day, Erin.
You too. Bye, Sandy.
Thanks.
And that is Spilling the.
All right, folks. So we are going to now start our program on Bobo. Just getting everything ready. Make sure we don't miss a beat, because I know radio listeners like, honey, chill. The kids are out of school today.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio. We are still spilling the tea and committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman, live, direct, it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right. Good morning, beautiful people. It is Tuesday, April the 11th. Wake up, get up, sunshiny outside. Absolutely gorgeous day. It was a gorgeous weekend. Big shout out to all of our campers. I saw some of you packing up yesterday, and others are going to probably stay out for a couple more days. We'll be keeping an eye on your situation. We'll talk about all those things a bit later on because we have got an absolutely full schedule. Oh my gosh, it is just unbelievable, all the wonderful things that we have in store for you on today's program. So, oh my goodness, what happened to my camera? Hold on, let me try to do a refresh here because my camera seems to be stuck. Look at that, I'm stuck, but I'm not stuck. All right, give me a quick second. I'm not even sure what's going on this morning. This is super bizarre. But yes, we will get things going here shortly. And we have some guests who are going to be joining us for the first half of the show. Of course, we know that today is Tuesday. And with every Tuesday comes Medical Rundown Tuesday. So we're going to be talking to none other than Health City. Really important topic this morning. But before I do that, let me just refresh my connection because I'm wondering why I seem to be stuck for some reason. So give me one quick second, good folks. Radio listeners, I'll keep talking to you. I'm still on Easter vacation. There we go. That looks better. You can actually see me live now. Ugh, look at this hot mess. All right, give us a second. We're gonna get you sorted. We're gonna get you sorted out here. All right. Nope. Oh, my poor camera. There we go. Are we live? Yes, we're looking. Uh-oh. Looks like this camera doesn't want to play nice today. Okay. Switches to USB power mode. I got to tell y'all, I'm actually in the middle of swapping this camera out, but it looks like it might not be particularly happy about that swap over. There we go. Will it be staying now? I think so. All right. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Cold Hard Truth, another edition of the Cold Hard Truth. Let's go ahead and bring our guests in. We're not going to waste a minute this morning because we're talking about the important topic of lung cancer, because it is Lung Cancer Awareness Month. So we've got Miss Dr. Archita. Good morning to Dr. Archita. How are you?
Good morning, Sandra. I'm fine, thanks. And always a pleasure to see you in the morning.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And we
Good
also
morning
have
to everybody
Jennifer.
who's listening.
Yes, we have Jennifer Weber, who's Oncology Operations Manager. No surprise, we've had these guests on before. Dr. Tcht, by the way, is a pulmonologist. So lungs is what she does. She's a lung specialist. So we're going to talk to them this morning about this very, very interesting topic of lung cancer awareness. And of course, good morning to everyone that's here. I see tons of people, 200 people already on the live stream, plus, of course, hundreds more, I'm sure, listening to the radio. We've got Vernita, Diamond Princess, Wee, First Lady Jayanne, Miss Morna is here. We'll talk all about Carifta after our special guest. Wee saying good morning to everyone and congratulations. Damaris is in the house. Stephen joining us in the UK. Miss Bonnie joining us from East End. Robert is here. Marshall from North Carolina. Miss Barbara, how are you? Aliano is also here from Windsor Park. Miss Juanita and Miss Darlene, plus countless others who are just sitting back with their coffee and tea and relaxing for the show. So this is quite an important topic. I know that we've touched on it before, but in light of it being officially Lung Cancer Awareness Month, we wanted to spend some time, Dr. Archita, talking about lung health and lung cancer and what people need to know, because again, it's a pretty major organ. You can't survive. Can you survive without a lung?
Well, you can if the other lung is healthy.
If the other one is in good condition.
Definitely with some debility or disability. Not like a normal person, but yes, definitely one can survive with one lung.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about lung cancer and the prevalence of this disease. I was shocked to see that cases are on the rise. Why is that, and how prevalent is it?
Well, lung cancer is a very common cancer. It's the second most common cancer, both among men and women worldwide. And the prevalence varies, of course, from country to country, but this is a global trend that lung cancer cases have been on the rise. And of course, the most common risk factor that we know about is smoking. And since we have a population now which has reached an age where they've been exposed to a significant amount of smoke when they were younger, when they were young adults, this population which has aged to have any which ways a higher cancer risk now is showing an increasing trend of lung cancers. So, it's a very common cancer. It's one of the largest killers of mankind among cancer-related deaths. And I think—
Sorry, Dr. Archita, just one quick second for me. I just understand that our listeners can't hear you. So let me just confirm where they can't hear you. If that's on radio or where, just give me one quick second. I want to make sure they can hear you, because you're saying some really important stuff right about now. Let me just see here. Okay, just go ahead and speak again for me, please.
Oh, golden words lost. So lung cancers, I was just mentioning lung cancers, one of the most common cancers to affect both in men and women. It's the second most common cancer, actually, worldwide.
My apologies. I can see that there is an issue here. I'm just trying to figure out what the issue is. All right, just speak again for me.
Can you hear me now?
I can, but it seems like nobody else can, which is not what we want. So give me one quick second here. Let me just see what potentially is going on. Right. So that's correct. We're just checking everything here. So we've got, those two look good. This is a bit strange. So seems like people online can hear you. I'm hearing loud and clear. Wee Wee says that I can hear her, but maybe radio. So let me just double check the radio settings. Just speak again for me, Dr. Archita.
Okay, when you're ready, I can start. Let me know.
So everybody says they're fine on radio, so I'm not sure. Okay. Facebook is good, radio is good. So then if that's the case, I'm not sure why those particular individuals can't hear you. Maybe it's just something on their end. All right, let's continue, shall we?
Okay, repeat it.
Yeah, maybe it was just that person. I don't know. Sometimes a particular connection might be a bit bad.
Okay. So we wanted to reach out today to make people, aware of lung cancer. It's one of the most common forms of cancer affecting both men and women, the second most common or prevalent. And it is a leading cause of death among cancer deaths. So it's important that we understand the prevalence, how it can cause risk to life, how it can lead to disabilities even if you were diagnosed early. So this is the reason why we are actually talking today. You were asking me why is the incidence of lung cancer is going up. I think there are many reasons behind it. One is that people who've smoked in their, earlier life or when they were young adults or as adults are now reaching an age when cancers tend to show up more. And so you're seeing more and more cases of cancers, particularly lung cancer. And also the fact that, the diagnostics have improved, the screening tools have improved, and healthcare facilities have improved, and hence the increased detection of these cancers as well. So I think the answer to your question is why are we seeing an increased incidence is both of these factors.
Wow. And do we know statistically as it relates to smoking? I know that, I don't know if this is still the case, but we had seen a decrease in people who were smoking, younger people. Has that changed at all in the last 5 years? What sort of numbers are we looking at for the level of penetration, I guess, of smokers, particularly amongst young people whose lungs are, very, very delicate, especially?
Yeah, I may not be able to give you exact figures as to what is the prevalence because it varies from region to region and country to country. But definitely, there was a period, in fact, where there was a significant decline in tobacco smoking among the younger generation. However, unfortunately, this has probably now been replaced by more with other forms of consuming nicotine, which is vaping. Using other products which are lesser known and we don't know about the cancer risk. But, I don't think overall in terms of numbers, there has been a significant decline globally in cigarette smokers. So definitely an improving trend among the newer generation, but I don't think we have yet reached an era where we can say, the youth don't smoke these days. It's out of trend or out of fashion.
Right. And of course, there's also the issue of perhaps they're not smoking cigarettes, but they're doing other unhealthy lung activities, including vaping and smoking of other things. Correct. Yeah. Okay, folks, don't forget the phone lines are always open if you wish to ask or contribute a comment to our guest this morning. That number is 936-2626. We're happy to take your calls at any time. And it is Lung Cancer Awareness Month, a very, very important topic. So we're talking now, folks, about cases being on the increase. Of course, if you've ever smoked. Now, does it matter how much you smoked? I mean, I guess your chances might increase, obviously, the more that you smoked. But is it a situation, say in my early 20s, I was a casual smoker for just a couple years? Does that increase my risk of lung cancer significantly? Or can I kind of, feel that I'm back into the regular risk category for the general population, so to speak?
Yes, I believe if, the risk reduces, to answer your question from the beginning is, yes, the risk increases with the number of cigarettes and the duration of smoking. The risk does relatively reduce with time. As we, as more and more time passes between the history of smoking and your present status. However, anybody who smoked would be at a slightly higher risk. At the end of around 15 years of quitting to smoke, the risk is almost equivalent of a non-smoker. But again, depending on how much you've smoked in the past. If you were a casual light smoker, I believe the risk will be no more than a normal person. Who's never smoked.
Right.
I say normal.
Okay. All right. So, and there's so many different types of things. One person was talking about cigar smoking, which we can get into a little bit here. But where does the actual lung cancer begin?
When you say where does it begin? As in it begins when the bronchial tube sort of affects the lungs. Yeah. So typically, lung cancer is a broad category where we, include tumors which affect the airways, which are the central airways, either the trachea or the conducting passage, which are the bronchi, or in the lung itself. So lung cancers or bronchogenic cancers are all encompassed in this common term called lung cancer. And they could affect any part of the airway, which could make breathing a terrible, symptom, shortness of breath, a terrible symptom, or noisy breathing, a very terrible symptom for people who have lung cancer.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. All right. So starting in the windpipe area and then involving the primary airway and the lung tissue. But basically, it can originate in any part of the lungs or the airways, and they form part of the breathing pathway. So incredibly interesting. So the breathing system, just so that we're aware, includes what exactly?
Well, it begins the respiratory system as we traditionally know. It starts at the nose, where you start breathing. Includes your the pharynx, which is the throat, the voice box, which is the larynx, the trachea, which is the main breathing pipe, which leads up to two bronchi, which lead into the right and the left lung. It's an arboreal pattern. It's like a tree dividing into multiple branches. These bronchi then finally further divide into much smaller tubes called bronchioles, and then into air sacs, which comprise mainly the lung parenchyma. So when we talk about lung cancer, it could affect any of these parts in the breathing passage. But usually the cancers which affect the throat and above, I mean the larynx, the voice box, the throat, and nasal passage, are not on the realm of lung cancers. They're head, face, neck cancer. So we usually, when we talk about lung cancers, it's from the trachea, which is the main windpipe, and down.
Interesting. And of course, we've seen an increase in all sorts of mouth cancers and stuff. Might be different causes and different reasons, but it's always important.
Mostly tobacco chewing, betel nut chewing, and yes, I mean, so risk factors may be similar, but they're we can't talk about that part right now because there's a lot to talk about what we are discussing today.
Yes. So in terms of risk factors, you mentioned earlier that the number one risk factor is definitely smoking, but there are some other risk factors here as well.
Well, yes, there could be exposure to certain chemicals, particularly people who have been involved in exposure to asbestos with shipwrecking, shipbuilding, building and construction, to heavy metal compounds, sometimes even to people who've been in mines who've been exposed to silica, or there are other forms of pneumoconiosis, which are occupational lung diseases, which then can make an individual more prone to cancers, not as a direct effect of the exposure, but due to the inflammation and scarring in the lung, which then makes them more prone to lung cancers. People who've had exposure to secondhand smoke, who may have been lifelong non-smokers but have had exposure to secondhand smoke from somebody else, can be at a high risk. And people who are who have underlying lung diseases which lead to scarring, or some kind of chronic infections which may have led to scarring, can develop scar cancers in the lung, which is rather relatively less frequent, but it's not impossible. So there are many risk factors. So having an underlying lung condition or having environmental exposures can put you at risk of lung cancers.
Right. And of course, you answered Sharon's question there, because she was saying, what about persons who are exposed to secondhand smoking?
Oh, okay.
And so to be very, very clear, secondhand smoking is dangerous.
That's true. So what we describe now as environmental tobacco smoke exposure, or secondhand smoking as we know it, is also a significant risk factor for lung cancer. Maybe not as much as to a primary smoker, but definitely a very high risk factor.
So according to the CDC, secondhand smoke exposure occurs when people breathe in smoke breathed out by people who smoke or from burning tobacco products. And they say that there is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke. Even brief exposure can cause serious health problems and be deadly. So this is interesting, in particular, as it relates to, I think, children, because a lot of times children are not necessarily themselves smoking, but they may have parents or grandparents and other people who are smoking around them. And so that smoke travels and can impact the quality of their health as well.
That's true. And particularly children whose parents have smoked when they were much younger, or were exposed to secondhand smoke in their households, are at a very high risk, not just of lung cancer, but of other respiratory disorders as well, including COPD.
Super interesting. Now, many, many years ago, I read something about third-hand smoke. I think it's a little bit more passive, I suppose. But it really is about how smoking tends to seep into everything around a smoker. So that's the chemicals that you get exposed to in the nicotine. Of course, those are cancer-causing substances, including formaldehyde and is it naphthalene and other types of things. So again, it gets into furniture when someone is smoking around furniture. So it's all of the pollutants that actually settle indoors when tobacco is smoked. And a lot of people don't think about the implications of this, but it's certainly one of the reasons why a non-smoker can walk into a household of people who smoke. And even if they're not actively smoking, then we can smell it, right? Because it literally seeps into everything.
That is so true. Yes.
So any soft surfaces, clothing, furniture, drapes, bedding, carpets, everything, dust particles on hard surfaces as well, including the walls, the floors, and vehicles, that third-hand smoke can remain there for many, many months, even after smoking has stopped. And, you can't eliminate it by airing out the room. So I want to be very, very clear about this, because I think some people don't think about the extended arm of cigarette smoke. But third-hand smoke can't be eliminated by airing out rooms, opening out windows, using fans or air conditioning, or even confining smoke into certain areas of a home, which a lot of people think that they can do. I do remember, Jennifer, maybe you can jump in here. Do you remember when smoking was legal indoors in the Cayman Islands? And there was a lot of conversations about finally changing that. And there were actually people who were like, oh, but we can have a smoking section and a non-smoking section inside of a bar or restaurant. And people who understand from a clinical perspective, how smoke settles and how it travels, were like, no, that would never work. Because of the way, again, that even third-hand smoke operates, right? Oh, you've muted yourself, Jennifer. Sorry.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So that might predate me a little bit, but I certainly remember in lots of places in the world where we had a smoking and a non-smoking section, even on planes. And I do recall that it was the Cayman Islands Cancer Society back before, must be more than 17, 18 years ago. It was the Cancer Society that put up all those red plastic signs that you see all over to this day that say no smoking, and pushed that there should be a no smoking law. It's not, the more we learn, the more we can do to keep our community safe. And that was one of the initiatives that they did. But yeah, I remember my mother-in-law smoked, and she was always very concerned about keeping the air conditioning in the car. And so she kept all the windows up and then smoked like a chimney inside. And she was surprised when everybody could smell it. She would send us packages. And when we would open the box that had been through the mail, you could smell the cigarette smoke in the packaging that she used inside the box after it had been shipped for a week or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, it's pretty, people always say that I have a very sensitive nose because I'm actually allergic to cigarette smoke and so on. But really and truly, people who are exposed to these chemicals or the chemicals in third-hand smoke, even when they touch contaminated surfaces or breathe in the gases that third-hand smoke may release, infants and young children in particular are at greater risk for exposure to third-hand smoke than adults, due to their activities such as crawling and putting non-food items in their mouths. So, think about the impact, folks, on those around you. So again, the month of April, Lung Cancer Awareness Month, and these are all things that, are really, really important to your overall health. So you were speaking, Dr. Archita, about some of the heavy metal compounds and environmental factors that also can increase your chances of lung cancer. Do we see any decreases in those? Because I think now we all know about asbestos and the harms of working around certain environmental chemicals. Has there been any sort of, because we have that information, as Jennifer just said, knowledge and is power. And so once we empower ourselves with what some of the causes are, including the environmental causes, are people more likely to, not get involved in jobs that put them at greater risk. Homes are no longer being built with asbestos, although they can still be found in a lot of older construction sites. But do we see a decrease in the causes coming from environmental or metal compounds?
Yes, so there has been a significant awareness about, not just, about one particular industry, but generally about exposure occupationally to individuals. And so there's a lot of mitigation being done by industries themselves to avoid or reduce exposure. We can't say that people will stop working in these sectors because obviously this is still a commercial sector. Asbestos use has definitely declined. However, the unfortunate part is the impact of this decline in asbestos use we'll see only after a few decades, because I'm not sure if everybody knows, but asbestos exposure, even in the very remote past, maybe more than 30 to 40 years ago, will start showing its effects only after these 30 to 40 years. So people up into the 70s and 80s, and even in some areas of the world, even into the 90s, have been exposed to a significant amount of asbestos from all these construction-related materials or ships and whatnot. And hence, we are yet to see an impact globally in the decline of people who have been impacted, but definitely the trend is improving. The elimination of these kind of products from the industry itself, or from people who are, from preventive aspects where people are not exposed to them, even if they are part of an industry, is important. Similarly with silica or certain other toxic gases, where you can have fumes containing chromium or certain other such heavy metals, that's on the decline. Or at least the preventive aspects have been improved in most industries, mostly fearing litigation and issues with occupational health. But definitely there's an improvement there. Having said that, the amount of vehicular pollution though has increased, and so of course exposed to all these fumes and chemicals coming from burning of petrochemicals or like diesel, that still is a risk factor. But I believe most people in the who had occupational exposure are better aware and are being provided gear and equipment to prevent exposure, provided they understand the importance of using it. I think the important part here is that most of us know the harms coming from things, but it's getting to avoid that exposure that's important, both in our general lives where people smoke and they know it's harmful and yet continue to smoke, and also occupationally, where they know, well, this particular chemical can be harmful, but are sometimes casual about it, or are not educated enough by the company that should be providing them with gear and education as to the preventive aspects. So, but definitely there's been a decline in these exposures.
Dawn has a question online. She says, some people who never smoke or are around another who smoked in their lives develop lung cancer. Why is that?
Well, that's with any cancer, isn't it? So there are exposures to multiple things that can cause lung cancers. Having a family history of lung cancer can put you at higher risk. There are many other factors, but like any other cancer in the body, some kind of mutation happening in cells can lead to a cancer development in any organ of the body. Similarly with lung cancer. So there are individuals who are non-smokers and who can develop certain types of cancers. There's no denying that. However, the risk of developing a lung cancer is 15 to 30 times more in an individual who smoked as compared to a non-smoker. So we can only talk about preventable aspects. We can't avoid all forms of cancer. We can't, avoid developing them. We can promote early detection. We can try and prevent the risk factors, or make people more aware of the risk factors so they can protect themselves. However, it's not like cancers don't happen. They can still develop in any organ of the body, and similarly in the lung, even in people with low risk.
Super interesting. We've got a question here also from Damien. So Damien says, what about Teflon used for cooking ware?
No direct association with lung cancer, but yes, may predispose because it does have some carcinogenic products. Even consuming things like this may cause cancers anywhere in the body. But particularly to say, you've used Teflon in cookware and it causes lung cancer is difficult to say.
And
But
I've got some.
it can cause it has carcinogenic potential.
Yeah, and I've got some information here for Damien that he might find interesting, specific to this question as well. So again, people, this is about the non-stick pots and pans that we use for cooking. And there is one material that Teflon has in it. It's a long, super long word. It's polytetrafluoroethylene or something, PTEE, commonly known as Teflon. And it is a synthetic chemical made up of carbon and fluorine atoms. And it was first created in the 1930s. And it provided a non-reactive, non-stick, and almost frictionless surface. And that non-stick surface, of course, was used in a lot of Teflon-coated cookware, which is convenient to use because then your eggs don't stick to the bottom. You guys know the struggles if you're in the kitchen. And they're also a lot easier to clean. So all you need is a little bit of oil or butter, and you can have a low-fat way of cooking or frying foods as well. So Teflon does have other applications. It was used to make wire and cable coatings, fabric and carpet protectors, and waterproof fabrics for outdoor clothing, such as raincoats. So over the decades, there have been, as Damien has rightfully pointed out, some concerns about the safety of nonstick cookware, and it has been under investigation because of a chemical, which is the PFOA, which was previously used to produce nonstick cookware. But Damien, you'll be happy to know that that is no longer used today. So, and it was also a question of overheating Teflon in excess of 570 degrees Fahrenheit. The good news is that since 2013, that particular chemical, PFOA, which was used in the production of Teflon, is no longer used. So if you have old pots before 2013, this is your excuse. You can tell your husband, Sandy said I can throw out my old Teflon pots now and go get some new ones because they are not going to contain this concerning chemical. And so that's your excuse to upgrade. But despite that, it actually found that Teflon cookware is not a significant source of PFOA. And there's tons of research to support that as well. So you should be probably more concerned about the smoking than anything else. But there was a link between PFOA and thyroid disorders, chronic kidney disease, liver disease, and testicular cancer, and maybe some low birth rate and infertility. But I'll send you some information on that, Damien. But good news, just update the cookware and you'll be fine. Sharon says, so for some people who do janitorial services and are exposed to certain chemicals, can they be at risk of getting lung cancer?
No, I don't think so. With safe use and not overexposure, lung cancer risk is not significant with cleaning chemicals per se.
Mm-hmm.
Developing reactive airway disease, where you're exposed to a large amount of a strong chemical, particularly bleach, can cause some amount of difficulty in breathing. But there's been no association as such with lung cancer, that I know of at least.
Yes. But I mean, it's a good idea, generally speaking, to be careful when you're using any cleaning chemicals.
Any
right?
form of chemical, any form of aerosol has to be dealt with responsibly.
Yes.
So you don't want to inhale things and take them into your body. You can't avoid breathing. You have to be careful what you're breathing, right?
Very good. Some good questions here. 936 Bobo is the telephone number if you have a question that you'd like to phone in as well. We're discussing, folks, lung cancer as part of the April, which is Lung Cancer Awareness Month. So we've talked about some of the risk factors. Now let's talk about what the symptoms look like, Dr. Archita. So, what should people be on the lookout for?
The unfortunate part about lung cancers is that by the time they're symptomatic, they're usually far advanced. So I don't want to encourage people just to look for symptoms, but yes, definitely if you have symptoms, it's a good idea to look into it. So the most important symptoms would be, one of the common symptoms would be more systemic before people actually start having, more respiratory symptoms. But so people, if there's an unexplained weight loss or there's unexplained loss of appetite, in people who have a persistent cough, which just wouldn't go away, and they have been exposed to risk factors, well, then that's something to look into. Coughing or blood can be a symptom. Just getting short of breath with activities and worsening of your effort tolerance can be a symptom. Change in voice or a sudden or new onset of wheezing or noisy breathing can be a symptom of a tumor in the airways. So if you develop a suddenly, out of the blue, you've started wheezing now, although you've never been an asthmatic, that's something to look into. Doesn't necessarily mean everything is lung cancer, but yeah, it's something to look into. Or having symptoms of, say, a respiratory infection or a patch on the X-ray that a doctor thinks is a pneumonia but won't go away. Every time you may have taken multiple courses of antibiotic, but your X-ray doesn't clear. So what we know as non-resolving pneumonia could probably be a symptom or a sign of lung cancer. So these are things to look into. Anybody who has got a chronic cough is particularly somebody who should be looking into or should and has risk factors should be looking for, underlying lung cancer.
Yes. But I think the idea here as part of lung cancer awareness is that really you have to know your pre-existing risk. So anyone who's ever smoked is at an increased risk. If you are a current smoker, then obviously your risk is probably considered substantially high. And so what you want to do is participate in lung cancer screening. So we'll talk a bit now about what that involves. Jennifer, you can feel free to jump in at any time. But really, this is about trying to, as you say, if you wait until you have those symptoms that we just mentioned, chances are it's going to be pretty late and your chances of survival are going to be decreased. But if you do, ongoing screening, because you already know you're in an elevated high risk category, then that is really the way to go. So we're talking about early detection, folks, which increases your chances of a cure and reduces your risk of death from the disease. And it can be done by both smokers and non-smokers. So again, if you are someone who has a higher risk because maybe you're more exposed to secondhand smoke or chemicals when you were younger, then this is something, again, that you might want to look into. So tell us a little bit, Dr. Archita, about the screening tests that are available to find lung cancer.
Yeah. At the very onset, even before I talk about screening, I want people to understand that, every screening for any cancer or any other disease is done weighing a risk and a benefit ratio. So lung cancer screening is best done by something we know as a low-dose CT scan. However, this should be reserved for people who are at high risk, because any form of screening, unless there's no benefit, there's no point in doing it, A, and B, sometimes the modality that we use, that is CT scans or it does involve some radiation exposure. And so it's probably not a good idea for everybody with a random history of smoking to undergo a lung cancer screening. So I want everybody to please understand that this is meant for high-risk individuals who have been exposed to a significant amount of smoking. I'm not saying other people don't develop it, but they should not enroll into a screening program. They may have a one-off discussion or they may have a one-off test. They may have a chat with their doctor who may then find it prudent to probably do an X-ray instead of CT scan, which then exposes you to a lot more radiation. So the risk and the benefit are in favor of doing screening, and definitely it has reduced, significantly reduced mortality among people who've been detected early. But, it should be used for individuals who are at high risk, not if you've been exposed to a small amount of smoke or secondhand smoke in the past. So I just want to make that very clear. And lung cancer screening is a very important tool when applied to a population because it helps early detection of lung cancers. Cancers, when detected early, in general, have a significantly better outcome because they can be, treated or cured when diagnosed early. When diagnosed late, any cancer will probably not be curable. What you end up doing is perhaps just giving symptom management or trying to reduce the bulk of the cancer. And this is so true for lung cancer as well. When detected early, the mortality related to lung cancer is significantly less as compared to when it's diagnosed at an advanced stage. And hence, it's extremely important to screen people in the community who have had high risk. So the high-risk individuals, or where we've noticed a benefit out of lung cancer screening, and there are multiple studies, European, US. What we're following right now are the United States Preventive Services and Task Force guidelines, USPSTF as we call it, and that usually includes individuals between 50 and 80 years of age. So they are in that age risk where they may show up, lung cancers. Individuals who have smoked in the last 15 years or who are currently actively smoking, and who have a significant amount of smoke exposure, which would be an equivalent of 20 pack years, which is 20 cigarettes a day or a pack a day for 20 years. So these are individuals who should enroll in routine screening. When I say routine, as in screening without any symptoms, where they have an annual scan, which is a low-dose CT scan, and we do the scan, look for lung cancer foci, and then follow through, on an annual basis. If there's absolutely no finding, or this individual has stopped smoking for over 15 years now, we take them off that screening program, right? So it's something which is a recurring program. And the right individuals who need to go through this is the ones I told you. They should meet all three criteria: between 50 and 80 years of age, a smoking history equivalent to a pack a day for 20 years, and individuals who have, are currently smoking or have been smoking in the last 15 years. So these are individuals who benefit most, and these guidelines should ideally be followed. However, people who feel that, they may have smoked less, but they have a very strong family history. They have multiple family members who've had lung cancers or some other similar cancer, or people who have symptoms should reach out and meet their physician or a pulmonologist, or people who have a chronic cough and have had some history of smoking. It doesn't mean that they should not be screened or they should not be evaluated, but to enroll in a lung cancer screening program is for high-risk individuals. I'm just making this clear because I've had some issues where people want to get a scan done, and this is a promotion. We want people to, but we want the right people to get that benefit, and not expose maybe a 20-year-old who's smoked for 2 years to unnecessary radiation with a CT scan. So I want people to understand the importance of testing the right individuals to get the right benefit.
Very interesting. All right, folks. And of course, people can always have a conversation with you, Dr. Archita, to figure out whether or not they should be scanned. It's not something that they just run in and say, hey, I need this scan done. You consult with your physician. You talk about with Dr. Archita what your risk assessment really is, and you go from there. So good morning to Tracy, who's tuned in from New Zealand. We've got Miss Juliet also here. Siobhan, good morning to you as well. She says good morning to everyone. So Jennifer, some really important discussions here. And of course, as the person who is in charge over at Health City, the oncology operations section, this is, a very, very important conversation for you to be involved in as well. So tell us a little bit about what's happening in the world of oncology over at Health City, Cayman Islands.
Well, there's a lot going on, right now we're so excited at Health City because we've recently opened our radiation oncology center. This is the first time that radiation is available, radiation treatment is available in the Cayman Islands, and there aren't many other places around the Caribbean even where you can get it. So we're so excited that patients who need that type of treatment can stay here at home. They don't have to travel overseas, be away from their family, be away from their job, be away from their support. They can stay home and get the treatment that they need right here. Of course, we wish that nobody needed that kind of treatment, but if it's needed, we have it right here. And then backing up from that, what Dr. Archita was talking about is all of the ways that we can screen so that we can catch it early. Our goal is to, we want to have the services that people might need, but if we can back it up and detect it early so that people get it diagnosed, get some kind of cancer, lung cancer, whatever kind of cancer, diagnosed, it can be treated earlier so that people don't have to go on to those other treatments, the better. And then even before that, if there's something we can do to prevent cancer from starting in the first place, we're Health City. Of course, that's what we want to do. We're all about health, right? So right now, there are a lot of things going on in the community. We are offering a freedom from smoking. It's a smoking cessation program. And some people aren't familiar with that word cessation. It just means to help you stop. So to help people stop smoking, we've started offering free classes in the community to help people stop smoking so that in the future they won't have to deal with this. The class is free. We're offering it right now. We have one class in Georgetown, and I have to give a shout out to the club at Cricket Square. That's a health club. They're providing the space to us for free. We meet once a week on a Wednesday night from 5:30 to 7:30 for 7 weeks in a row to help people stop smoking. It's called Freedom from Smoking. It's from the American Lung Association. And it is a very supportive, holistic program. And we don't sit around and talk about, oh, you could get black lungs and it isn't a good idea to smoke. Nothing is sugar coated. You join this program because you're ready to quit. And the average person, who smokes, they want to quit smoking. It's not that there's anybody these days who feels like, oh, smoking is healthy or cancer or smoking is good for me. No, nobody thinks that. Of course, people want to quit. They intend to quit, but they may just not get around to actually having the motivation to setting the date because they know it's going to be hard to quit. And then we know statistically that on average, people try to quit smoking between 8 and 11 times before they actually do stop. So this program is designed to allow the people who feel like, you know what, it's time for me, I got to go ahead and quit, to join. And it's 8 weeks long. On week number 4, you quit. And everybody quits together. And it's not easy. This nicotine addiction is real. It is not an easy thing to do for people who haven't smoked before or feel like, oh, if I just explain to somebody that it's bad for them, they'll stop. It's not like that. People know it's bad for them, but there are other benefits that they feel. And they continue to do it. And many times they often feel bad about it. They wish they could stop. They want to stop. They just haven't stopped yet. So we're going to be offering these free programs all around the districts. We're doing one in Georgetown right now. We're doing others in West Bay and in East End. We're going to offer more in Georgetown as well. And actually, we're looking for volunteer facilitators. If someone would like to become a facilitator for this Freedom from Smoking program, you do an online course. It's pretty involved, and it costs some money. But if you want to contact me and say, hey, I'm really interested in helping people stop smoking, I'd like to be a facilitator, you can contact me and we'll put you through the program. And then you can lead a class of friends or people at your church. You can do it for free to help the community. The more people we have out there in the community helping people stop, the better for the community, for that individual, and for the secondhand smoke as well.
Wow, true. That's fantastic. All right, so that sounds great, folks. And how can people reach out to you, Jennifer, regarding that program?
So the easiest thing for people to remember is to email stopsmoking@healthcity.ky. Stopsmoking@healthcity.ky. If they do that, we can make sure that we put you on the list so that the next time we're starting another class, we can contact you and say, hey, there's a class starting in East End or there's a class starting in Bordentown. If it's a time and location that works for you, maybe it's close to your work or it's at a time that works for you when you're closer to home, you can decide to join the class. And please, for those people who are listening, know that you cannot register your loved one who you would like to stop smoking. You cannot say, here, contact them and make them stop, Jennifer. I wish it were like that, but we can't do that. People who join the class have to decide, it's time for me. I want to do something good for myself, and I'm ready to stop smoking. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this month people decided, maybe it's time for me to make this decision and I'm motivated to stop. This low-dose CT scan offer that we're providing right now is an amazing opportunity for the community. It's only $50. You know, can you think of any other medical screening test that's only $50? So it's a $50 low-dose CT scan. And as Dr. Archita said, you know, we don't want to scan everybody. Everyone doesn't need this. But for the people who need it, if you're over 50, if you've been a smoker for a long time, it's a good idea to have this. And of course, nobody wants to step in and have this. It's not unlike getting your mammogram or getting your pap test. You know, nobody wakes up and goes, oh, goody, it's a day for my cancer screening. They're not comfortable. They make us nervous. We have to think a lot. We have to motivate ourselves to do them. And we're scared as humans. We're scared of what the results might be. But we have to be brave. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to be around to take care of our families. And so we step forward, we get these screenings when they're warranted. And then once we get an earlier screening, we can breathe easier and we can go on with our lives. And who knows, getting a low-dose CT scan as part of this program might be the first step to someone saying, you know what, I had my screening. Things don't look so bad right now. I'm going to motivate myself to go ahead and stop smoking now before they turn into something more dangerous.
Yeah, we do have a caller. We hear lots of breeze there on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hello, good morning, Sandy. Good morning to Jennifer and the good doctor.
Good morning.
Morning.
Jennifer, in your other life, when you were with the Cancer Society, and assisted you with we're all involved with a smoking cessation series of meetings up at prison.
Yes.
Because when you were at the Cancer Society, I remember that there was a reach out from inmates and guards to stop smoking within the prison. Number one, because it's illegal, because the law says on any government premises there must be no consumption of tobacco. So they were stopping something illegal going on within the prison system. And I understand that smoking is still allowed within the prison. Have you reached out to them again in this new series to do the smoking cessation? Is that the same program that was used before?
Well, thank you so much for the question. I certainly recognize your voice, and I remember going up to the prison. You're right.
That's all right. That's all right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he had stopped.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, so I remember that that program was called Stop Smoking, I think, and that was many years ago. The Cancer Society brought an expert over from the U.S. And what we did is the Cancer Society is we went around the community and we trained people to become facilitators for a Stop Smoking program. So we went to schools, we went to the prison, we went to businesses, and we did programs for the medical providers and also for the community at large. Like I said, that was a long time ago, and that was before COVID. So I think for all of us, that was like a whole nother world ago. And since that program, they did start that. They did do that a lot of different places, and it's kind of tapered off. And now one of the reasons why Health City is doing it is because it's needed in the community. You know, this is an unmet need. Nobody's doing those programs anymore in all of those different places. I think that government might provide a couple of classes a year at Georgetown Hospital. But we as Health City felt like this is really important. And so we are bringing the classes to you. We're doing them out in the community. They're free. And it's a different program. This one is called Freedom from Smoking. And according to the American Lung Association, it is the gold standard of smoking cessation programs. It has been around for more than 40 years, and they've been tweaking it all along. It is a very involved, holistic program that comes with brochures and pamphlets and workbooks. And it's not the old style of intimidation and fear, where you try to convince people that it's bad for them. That kind of stuff doesn't work. What works is when people get support for something that they know they want to do, and they have a supportive community of others who are going through the same problem, so that they can together support each other and find strategies and tactics that work and share them, so that they can continue to move forward and stop smoking together as a group. And it's not easy. Like I said before, it takes a lot of different times. People want to quit smoking. They try to quit smoking. And in this program, we call it practice quitting. Even if they've practiced quitting before, all of that practice is going to build up to help make it more likely that they can stop. If they've practiced and they quit only for a couple of days or a couple of weeks or a couple of months, we can build on that success and extend the time that they stop smoking to benefit themselves and their family and get back to good health. So I remember that program, and it was a long time ago. I'm glad that you remembered it. When we went to the prison, I remember that was the first time I'd ever been in the prison. And I remember, I remember we trained the facilitators.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah, we trained the facilitators, and now we're kind of doing the same thing. So to the gentleman who called, I won't say your name. If you want to become a facilitator, join us and help.
Yes, he identified himself as Billy Adams. So
he did. Okay.
Yes. All right.
So join us.
Yeah. So Ms. Nola says that public health has been running a very successful smoking cessation program for many years now. So perhaps Nola, they could do more in terms of informing people about it, because I've never heard of it. So that would be fantastic. Giving people tons of options.
I believe I believe they're doing 2 programs a year, and it is offered at HSA, and they've had a long waiting list. I've contacted them a couple of times to see if we can cross promote, because the more people who want to quit smoking, the better.
Yes, absolutely. Michael says, I used to smoke, but have now stopped. I'm eating healthy and hoping that if I have any cancer cell, it will get a natural death. So good for you, Michael.
Amen.
Congratulations on stopping. So that's definitely a start. So let's talk a little bit. Nikki's asking about Teflon. We have discussed that earlier, Nikki. So I've shared the link with some updated information. Bottom line is, critical things to know is there was no confirmation about cancer in Teflon, but there were other health concerns regarding a chemical that was used in Teflon. That chemical has not been used since 2013. So throughout old pots that have Teflon. And in addition to that, it was at cooking at 500 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, and 4 to 10 hours worth of cooking. Now, I don't know who's standing in front of a stove for 4 to 10 hours with a single pot, but probably not very many of you. But cooking at high heat, folks, this is something that we've discussed before. Those of you who love, charring your your meat, and love, throwing stuff on the grill and steaks and burning it. Those of you who love jerk food, those are foods that are cooked at very, very high temperatures. And the black stuff that you see on the meat is unhealthy. That's carcinogenic material. So it doesn't matter, Nikki, if it's cooked on Teflon or if it's cooked on a cutout, what do we call those things that we cook in? The cutout drums or whatever. If you're cooking it at extremely high temperatures and you're charring your meat, those charring particles are known to be carcinogenic. And you should be concerned about your lung health and other areas of your body as well. So that's why, this kind of information is extremely important, and make sure that we're focused on the really important things. More people are most likely eating jerk products than they are cooking with Teflon in 2023. I'm just saying. All right. What are we talking about in terms of treatment, Dr. Archita, when it comes to lung cancer?
Well, as I've already mentioned, detect it early. And I'm very happy that Jennifer already laid it out.
And that comes with
Here we
brochures
want. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So as Jennifer rightly pointed out, it's a holistic approach that we want to use. Prevention by stopping the smoke or by preventing exposures, early detection by screening, and then of course treatment when it comes to a diagnosis. And so when detected early, lung cancers can be cured by either removing that part of the lung or the breathing passage that leads up to it, and following it up with some kind of systemic therapy, or if necessary with radiation. However, when detected late, lung cancers cannot be cured, but there are treatments available even then. And that would include systemic chemotherapy, which we have a great department to offer, or chemotherapy along with immunotherapy or along with radiation therapy. Radiation therapy can be used to mitigate symptoms, particularly for large tumors causing compression to the airways. There are certain, combinations of, like I mentioned, chemotherapy with immunotherapy or immunotherapy alone. Not everybody is a candidate for these therapies. It depends on the type of cancer. It depends upon the stage of the cancer, and it also depends upon the certain, characteristics of the cancer cells, whether they have some kind of mutations, which we can even use targeted medications for. So science is far advanced now, and we have now targeted cancer therapy, but these are only for a few targets on their cancer cells. So there are treatments available, but we'd rather not get to the treatment if we could, like I said, prevent and treat, screen early and treat early and cure people. However, there are a lot of options available even when detected late. And we have, what we know as a multidisciplinary approach to this problem. So Jennifer's helping us with the preventive aspect. We have various doctors who are doing lung cancer screening for their particular organs. Like right now, we're talking about lung cancer screening. And then, of course, we have a full-fledged oncology department, medical oncology, now radiation oncology, which are able to help with the treatment aspect. And we all meet at least once a week. We discuss our cancer cases, and so that we can offer a more holistic treatment to people or individuals who've been diagnosed with this unfortunate disease. So,
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lots going on, folks. And I'm actually going to be touring the oncology center today, because when you guys had your grand opening, unfortunately, I wasn't able to come that day. So I'm very, very excited about going and seeing it today.
That's
excellent.
great.
We'll look forward to having you. And Sandy, I want to make sure that people understand, if they send an email to the stopsmoking@healthcity.ky address, they don't need to be nervous that is a commitment that they are going to stop smoking. Anyone can send information and say, oh, I might be interested, or could I please receive more information about the next time you're going to be having a class. So I don't want people to be nervous that if they send an email that they're going to be expected that they have to stop smoking immediately. This is all about personal choice, what people want to do. If they want to stop, we're here to help. And if people are driving right now and they can't remember who to email or what to do, they can also use that Stop Smoking at Health City address to ask questions. I'm happy to pass that on. This low dose CT scan option again is only $50, and it's for this month. So if people are interested in taking advantage of that really low price to get screened, they can do it. They need to contact Health City right away. If they want to call, they can call 640-4040, and they can ask about the low dose CT scan special for $50 this month. And they can get that scheduled this month, even if they're going to have the test next month, because it's probably going to get kind of busy, or if they have other things going on. But if you're listening to this right now and you think, what, I've been wanting to quit smoking, or I've been kind of curious, or I'm sort of nervous about whether or not I have a problem, there's no reason to wait. Get motivated, get this test, talk to your doctor, see if now is the time for you. People make decisions like this a lot during the new year. I know it's April, in middle of April, but what better time than now to go ahead and make a decision that's going to be helpful for you to get healthier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, no time like the present, that's for sure. And you don't have to wait till New Year to set goals for yourself. So
Right.
congratulations to all, including Michael. He mentioned earlier that he has, stopped smoking and he's eating healthier. I find that one of the concerns that smokers have is that they're going to replace one habit with another bad habit. I actually worked with a guy when I was in university. He stopped smoking and then he picked up eating sunflower seeds, because there's also this mind-hand connection thing where you're constantly used to putting something up to your hand. And so, all day he was popping sunflower seeds and drinking, what was his beverage of choice?
Probably
Mountain Dew.
Snapple back in that day. Oh.
No, it was Mountain Dew. He had like the big bottles, the 2-liter bottles of Mountain Dew. And I was thinking, well, might be healthier than smoking, but it's not the best habit either. So hopefully he was eventually able to kick those as well. But I'm sure so much has changed in the world of, helping people to quit smoking and stuff as well. One final caller for the program. Good morning, caller. Welcome to today's Rundown Medical Tuesday.
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning. Good morning to you and good morning to your doctor in the
Good
ear.
morning.
Morning.
Okay, well, I just got a question for myself, but I'll make a statement first. I quit smoking like about a year and a half. Just
Congratulations.
That's great.
Hold on, let me give you an applause, virtual applause. Yes. Very good for you. What was the thing that finally did it for you?
Well, I was committing suicide because every part tells you it's dangerous to my health. And I have kids.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's right. I have tried many times before. I quit like maybe for 4 months, for 6 months, for a year, and I always replace it with something else, But this time I just said, okay, I'm going to have to fight it because I always told myself, like, why am I smoking, What keeps me smoking when I know it's dangerous to my health? And it's like, it's the chemicals, it's addictive. So what I did after I didn't smoke for like maybe a day, like I told myself, look, I didn't die. So I can do this, So it's all about muscle memory. You have to fight that muscle memory because it's a habit that becomes or a routine that becomes a habit that you can't really kick. But I just want to say there's one thing I want to know about since I quit smoking like a year and a half, about 9 months into that, I started to gain weight. I didn't start eating. I started eating better. I actually eat less, but I keep on retaining this weight. Like I gained like 25 pounds that I really don't want, that I don't know how to get rid of. I'm wondering if that's a side effect, because somebody told me that's a side effect is going to be for a while. That my body's not going to recognize the burning of the fat like that until I don't know. But I'm asking the good doctor if she can have an idea on that what's going on with my body, Oh, and I'm 47 also, So. I just want you to know, ages up there, I've smoked like about maybe since I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
all that's in the diagnosis. So I just want to feedback to know what I'm going to do with this weight. Is it going to stay there? Is it going to go away? Is it going to get more? Yeah. I just need an idea, please. And thank you.
Yes. Weight gain is a very common symptom with quitting to smoke. Usually it's because when you're smoking, you're probably not focusing so much on your nutrition or your body is not metabolizing the food well. Also, a lot of people tend to replace smoking with eating, when they're trying to quit. So like Sandy had mentioned a little while ago, drinking Mountain Dew or, trying to find another form of things. I mean, something that gives you that kind of pleasure. So it's not an uncommon symptom. Usually it is self-limiting. It should not keep increasing the weight. However, it would be a very good idea to incorporate some exercise into your schedule if you could, along with diet control, so that you can lose that 25 pounds. We all know that once gained weight is not such an easy thing to lose, is it? So it's always a good idea to work on it with exercise. Exercise also gives you these positive hormones, or what we know as endorphins in your body, which then keep you from that craving to go back to smoking because you find it pleasurable, or it gives you, some form of reprieve from any other stress that you may be having.
Well, Sandy, or great doc, what's happening with me? I've actually I basically have I exercise regularly. I cycle. I do like 28 miles maybe every other day, you know. So I do cycle. I do exercise. I do weights. I've not changed the habit of eating.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, not changed the habit. I've not uptaken my eating.
Mm-hmm.
I have a light breakfast, like a yogurt and an apple in the morning. I don't do lunch and I do a meal in the afternoon. So that's my eating habit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I've started to eat more, but I've gained. This is the most weight I've gained in my whole life.
Mm.
In my whole life,
Mm-hmm.
I've never gained. I've never been at the 200-pound mark.
Yes.
And I'm on that mark for the last 5 months,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm doing everything to try to get rid of it, but it's not going.
Yes.
So
maybe you
I'm
need to
wondering
join
if
me,
it's a
caller, in my
Maybe.
50 by 50 program.
No, boy, that's crazy by crazy program.
No, man, we
I
can
can't do that.
we can do
I can't do
intermittent.
that.
We can do the intermittent fasting. Maybe you just need to do something a little bit different.
No, the
No,
whole
I don't
idea is
wanna lose
it's
50
not
pounds.
uncommon.
No. You don't have to
Again,
lose 50.
like I
You're
said,
just looking to lose the 25 that you're complaining about.
Yes,
So for me,
yes,
it's
I
50. For you,
definitely.
you're lucky at only 25. But the same methodologies, you know, we can do intermittent fasting. We can, you know, you say you cycle, but sometimes you got to mix up the exercise and stuff as well.
that
Just
is true.
different things.
Every weekend I fast. I fast every Saturday and Sunday. Basically, I don't consume food until like maybe 6 in the afternoon. And that's one meal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for Saturday and Sunday because that detoxes your body too, you know?
Yes.
That is
Yeah,
true.
it's a good detox. So I do that. I've always did that. On Saturdays and Sundays, I don't have a meal until in the late afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a light meal. And
Yes.
keep yourself hydrated, drink a lot of fluids, and I do stuff like that. But as I said, this weight is it's confusing to me because I'm trying my best to work it out. I'm doing different routines. I'm changing the routines up. I've changed my diet, but I keep on retaining this weight, and it's kind of getting puzzling to me, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you up, guys, up on the cancer treatment check. That sounds a good check,
Yeah.
also, you know. But
And it's only $50. I mean, listen, you can't get a much better deal than that. But caller, thank you so much.
Thank you too.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
to clarify your question, though, by the way, it's not your fault. You're not doing anything wrong. Just
Yeah.
withdrawing nicotine will slow down your metabolism. So all you need to do is to increase activities which increase your metabolism. And that's why I
Yes.
emphasize more on the exercise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like Sam mentioned, mix it up and try and do different activities, a little cardio, a little weight, and you might be able to lose easier.
And it's probably a combination of things, as Soka's saying. It could be a combination of that age. He's kind of at that, mid-age situation where we all start to get a little bit rounder and start to gain weight, and it's harder to take off as well. But definitely, I mean, I think that maybe a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of adjusting can go a long ways. So thank you guys so much. Damien was asking about vaping. We didn't really get into vaping too much. But obviously vaping is on the increase, in particular when it comes to young people, because many of them feel that it's actually a better alternative to smoking. Just answer this as definitively as you can. Is it any better than smoking?
No.
Nope. Not vaping.
You just said as definitively as I can.
Yes. Don't smoke anything, including vapes,
including
cigars. No better than smoking. Probably worse than regular cigarettes. And none of it is healthy, folks. And really, that's the bottom line. It's unfortunate that so many young people are turning to vaping. And even secondhand vapes is not good for you. I see people doing it at kids' birthday parties and stuff like that. And I just sit there and shake my head and think, oh my God, what are you doing? Why do you think this is safe to do in front of children? So thank you guys so much. That's been Dr. Archita and Jennifer Weber, who is the manager of the oncology operations manager over at Health City Cayman Islands. So again, for the month of April, it's lung cancer awareness month, and they are running a special. So go ahead and find out details. We've posted some stuff on our social media as well as their website. Only $50. You can get screened if you're in the specific
if you are in the high risk.
Yes, that they recommend screening for. So thank you again to Dr. Archita. And
thank you for having us, Andy.
Yes, and thank you to Jennifer as well. We appreciate them coming in the program. Folks, let's go ahead and show a quick video for their oncology center, and then we're going to switch gears because we got a really, really important topic coming up all about Carifta. We're We're going to get all the details. We've got Miss Lacee Barnes Riley, who's going to be joining us here in a second. All right, folks. So, give Health City a call. You can contact them. Again, if you're interested in stopping smoking, the email address is stopsmoking@healthcity.ky. Someone mentioned that the public health might also have a program. You definitely want to avail yourself of all of those resources, really, because as the last caller said, it might take you a while to get there. You might quit and then go back and quit again. But really, the decision for good health is why he finally said, nope, it's, you're looking at the warning labels and it says it's not good for you. So there you go. Damien says that vaping has been passed by the FDA. Well, so smoking. It's FDA. I don't know if it's passed or approved, but they will say that you can do it. I mean, you're an adult and you can certainly choose to do so if you wish, but you have to, they require the labels to indicate that you are taking a significant health risk. The other thing I wanted to say just quickly about Billy's point, I think we'll spend some time discussing that on another program, is why is it that smoking is continuing to happen in prisons? Because that's a very, very interesting conversation to be had. But we do have limited time with our guests this morning, so I do want to go ahead and switch gears. Carifta happened. Good morning to Mr. Amelia. Carifta happened over the last couple of days in Bahamas, and in Curacao was the swimming portion of it. The swimming team was in Curacao. Congratulations to everyone who participated. Of course, these are performance athletes. They go out there and they do their best. We've had young people do extremely well this year. We had a gold medal. We had bronze. Swimming, listen, swimming, we're always like kicking it out of the park. I think Julian, is that young lady's name? Julian Cook. Let me just confirm her name. She has actually set a new record at Carifta in the area of swimming. So let me just get her name for you. Crooks, yes. So Jillian Crooks, my apologies to this young lady, has made history for Cayman as the island's young swimmers hauled in some 53 medals to finish second at Carifta. So congratulations to her. Swimming always comes back with a bag of medals, let me tell you. Done extremely well. So really, really proud of those. And then track and field athletes also did extremely well. Also, as it relates to, gold medal, we had the long jump and the, hold on one second, I'm going to tell you. It was the long jump and let me just go to CMR. If I go to the CMR website, I will refresh my memory about who and what medals they won. So we had Devonte Howell. He won the under 20 100 meter at Carifta. This young man actually won on Saturday in 10.3 seconds ahead of Bahamian Carlos Brown. So well done for him. And he's Cayman's second athlete in the event. Sorry, Jaden Reed also placed 6th. So this is fantastic. Gold. That's right. Take it home. Take it home. So amidst all of this, I was doing my little staycation over the weekend. I'll tell you guys all about that probably tomorrow. Had a fantastic time. We got family visiting and had a really great time. But, never a dull moment in the Cayman Islands because I had people pinging me, OMG, Sandy, did you see this video? Did you see this video? Oh my God, this young lady, Lacee, went live, and she has really put the Cayman Islands Athletic Association, CIAA, on the chopping block, so to speak, about their behavior. And I thought, interesting, because I've heard about this association for a really long time. And I want to be very clear about what my opinion is. They've been a hot mess a long time. And there's a lot of nepotism in that organization, a lot of friend business. And it seems like when people get involved in CIAA, they never want to leave. I'm talking about people like Sidonie Mothersill. I don't know if she gets paid to do it or if it's just the free trips or what the attraction is. Some people say that they get the red carpet rolled out to them. And so, they never want to give that limelight up because they get to represent Cayman track and field. The focus should be on the athletes. It shouldn't be on the CIAA. But let me be very, very clear. We need to clean up the hot mess that's called the CIAA. Number one, they're getting government money. So any organization that gets government funds, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be topical on this program. And even if they're not getting government funds, but they're involved in dealing with their youth, then, we need to be talking about them as well because they're impacting our youth. That's what somebody just said, free trips, they're not giving them up. So we need to talk about it because the funding is well over $100,000. It's probably gone up since the last time I checked. And, they get all these little fringe benefits and whatever. And the real question is, how much is it benefiting the athletes? So we've got Lacee here with us this morning. Lacee's going to talk about some of her concerns that she brought out and why she decided to do a live stream. Because essentially what happened to Lacee, this is really, really quite shocking, to be honest, but her and her husband were actually escorted out of the warm-up area at the 2023 Carifta Games in the Bahamas by soldiers after the Cayman Islands Athletic Association filed a complaint against them. When I heard this, my jaw dropped and I could not believe my ears. I said, you've got to be kidding me. Why on earth would the CIAA do this? So there's been a huge fallout as a result of that. We've had at least one member of the CIAA resign since then. And I'm going to tell you who that member is, who's done the right thing. We've got people taking sides in this, saying, nope, Lacee got it right. Other people saying, well, maybe she could have done it differently. We're going to discuss it all and try to unpack the whole situation. But Lacee Barnes Riley, good morning, Lacee. Welcome to the program. This is just so shocking that this happened, but give us a rundown on what led up to this and then what happened at the event.
So good morning, Sandra. You can hear me great, right?
Yes, okay. I can hear you.
But before I even get into all of what had happened, I just want to say congratulations again to the Carifta swimming, Carifta track and field. And I do want to start off by just stating a formal apology to generalizing the executive. I did make some generic comments, with what the executive does. And for this particular situation, I'm only speaking about the president, the first vice president, and the general secretary, Mr. Delroy Murray, Mr. Osbert Francis, and Ms. Sidonie Mothersill. And my second apology is just 100% genuinely to the athletes' names that I brought up in the live stream. I believe in the heat of the moment, a lot was pouring out with my distaste for the association's lack of attention to the athletes. And I didn't like that I brought up the athletes' names because, it kind of deters their success and makes people focus on the wrong things. So I want to apologize to those athletes. I won't mention their names again for the purpose of the apology, and apologies to their parents as well.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. And I think that's very big of you because it strikes me as I've heard about this association over the years that really it seems to be very personality driven, right? So it's all about one or two people running the board, really, although there are other board members. And they seem to be making decisions that impacts everyone. And there's nobody else on the board that's willing to say, whoa, you can't do this. Maybe you need to stop. I, for one, am personally shocked that Sidonie Mothersill is still there. And, I'm going to talk about why I have an issue with her, not knowing her on a personal level. It's not a personal issue. It's an issue of a matter of principle, because you guys need to, I sent out some messages in my WhatsApp group over the weekend, and I'm always shocked at how people just don't know something or they don't remember what transpired. And I get it, before Mile Road, these were not necessarily things that were like super highlighted. in the community. But let me just remind you, Sidoni Mothersill is a former track star herself here in the Cayman Islands. I can't remember exactly. I think she was a runner, right? I think she ran.
She was a sprinter, yeah.
She was a sprinter. And she married a guy by the name of Atto Stevens, and he is from Trinidad.
Yes.
Yes. So he's a Trinidad athlete. He's been disgraced in his own country on the athletic front. So, of course, the easy thing to do is to come to Cayman Islands and become a coach. And in his capacity as a coach here in the Cayman Islands, he was taking advantage of young girls, messaging them. This is proven in court. In fact, the text messages were so disgusting at a different level. And there were so many of them. They were so, what's the word I'm looking for? Prevalent isn't quite the right word, but they were just like tons of messages that even the judge, the grand court judge in that case was like, he's never seen anything like this. It was like obsessive. And he was encouraging this young lady to do all sorts of sexual activity with him. She was underage. And believe me, that may have been the only one, when I tell you, that may have been the only one that actually went to court, but that's not the only one. There were other young people. Let me be very clear. This same board that includes Sidoni Mothersill and others who were there at the time have received complaints from parents that this same Atto Stevens was texting and messaging their underage daughter. And you know what the response was at the time? Radio silence. They refused to do anything about it. When it finally went to court, this was a woman who stood by her husband even as he ran and fled the jurisdiction. Yeah. How they end up finding him, I'm just setting the record straight. Make sure y'all keep in mind that this is who CIAA still has on their board as president and now secretary, right? This woman went to the United States of America back and forth between Cayman and Miami with her young infant children to see their child molesting father, okay? And that's how the authorities, and was sending him money and all sorts of stuff. That's how the authorities were able to track down his actual location. And they extradited him, brought him back to the Cayman Islands to stand charges, and he was found guilty. Unfortunately, because of the evidence, he wasn't found guilty in the more serious crimes, but what they got him on was the ridiculous amount of text messages and solicitation of sexual favors and pornography from this child. And so the law in the Cayman Islands has now been amended and changed to include this grooming behavior that Atto Stevens was involved in, to make that a criminal offense as well, in large part because of his case. This woman continues, his wife continues to be in a relationship with him, sees him on a regular basis. After he served his sentence, he was hell-bent on staying in the Cayman Islands until we started to kick up a fuss here right on CMR and said, hell no. The opposition of the day, because Alden and his government were going to allow him to stay. And we said over our dead bodies, it's going to be permitted, right? Living within yards of a primary school here in Lower Valley, at her residence in Savannah. Listen, this story is just unbelievable. This should be a Lifetime movie. And she continued to stand by him. He claimed that he was going to sue the CIAA. He sent him a threatening letter. Just go on our CMR website, Google his name, because we covered it all. And this woman is still part of this association working with young people. Keep that in the back of your mind as we try to dissect the hot mess that continues to be the Cayman Islands Athletic Association. Caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
The deputy principal is in this morning. It is the word prolific.
Prolific. Thank you, baby girl. That's the word I was looking for. Yes.
Please let this principal know that I had done such a good job.
A+ for you. Thank you very much.
Hi, principal. Love you, miss you.
Thank you. Yes, welcome back. So yes, that is the correct term that I was looking for. His text messaging was prolific. It was extensive. It was disgusting. The judge, who was an older judge, I'm trying to remember which judge it was at the time, but I remember sitting in court and hearing him read the judgment about how disturbed what he read made him. It was sick, really and truly. And that's her choice. If she wants to be in a relationship with a pedophile, I guess that's her business. But why, as a country, right, do we have her involved in a youth-based organization when she supports that kind of behavior? Anyway, that's a sidebar. That's a side note. to explain to you all why I have a specific issue with Sidoni. I don't know who any of these other people are, but her history is pretty well known. And she also has a bit of a problem trying to hold people down in all facets of life, which I think is super interesting. But Lacee, thank you for the apology. Let's back up now. Now, you were away at university. I understand you're back in Cayman full-time now?
Yes.
Okay. So you recently got married. Congratulations, by the way. You were performing at the university level. How many trophies have you won? How many gold medals? Tell us a little bit about your accolades as an athlete.
Well, I've been doing track and field since I was 12 years old. I've represented Cayman, ever since then, almost every year. I'm a 3-time Carifta gold medalist. I have 5 Carifta medals total. My last time getting a gold medal at Carifta was actually here in Bahamas. So this is actually a special place for me. And the people here that are Bahamian, it's very special to me. And, I competed in university for my school. And whilst I was competing for my university, I was still representing Cayman in the summer months.
Okay, beautiful. So multi-gold medalist at the Carifta level, competed collegiately as well. And so you have a bit of experience, you would say, in the world of athletics, yes?
Just a bit.
Yeah. Now you're getting a real schooling in the world of politics with these organizations, honey child. So this might be the first for you. But you and your husband, and he's also an athlete. What does he do?
Yeah, so my husband is a Jamaican national. He is a national long jumper. He represented at the Pan American Games. We met at university, and I'm pretty sure he'll be on the Hall of Fame at University of Texas, San Antonio for all his accolades. He's an All-American, decathlete, and a long jumper.
Very good. So you're both athletic. And of course you love the sports, track and field. And so you decided at some point that you wanted to coach, yes?
Yes. I always knew that when I came back home, it was not going to be an option. I have too much knowledge. I have too much international experience. Not to share what I know and my love and my passion with the youth of Cayman.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carifta coming up, you started to work with local athletes. How long have you actually been working with them for?
So I came back home in November, and I was specifically asked to work with one young lady in discus. I was asked by Coach Williams, and then after I was officially asked by the athlete to be her personal coach going forward until she goes off to university, since I found her school. So I guess I would say since November, and there are other throwers who gradually come in and out of the program, and Coach Williams will usually just call them my way, or I'll just help assist the other throwers when I can, who is under the other throws coach on island.
So who's Coach Williams? Is he part of CIAA as well, or what is he? He's just an athletic track and field coach?
So Coach Williams is my former throws coach. He's one of the person to discover me in track and field. He's the former, I believe, national coach, the official national coach of the Cayman Islands Athletics. But he's recently retired, but he's still coaching, and he's currently one of the head coaches on the Carifta team.
Okay, wonderful. All right. So under his tutelage, you started then to kind of work with some young people. How many young people were you actually working with?
So exclusively, because of my busy schedule being in law school, exclusively I work with one athlete. Obviously I won't name her name here, but that is my person. I have complete control over her workout plan when we go to the gym, when we train. And there's a lot of beginners that come in and out to the track, and they'll be sent my way. And that could be 2 more kids. That could be up to 5 kids. It just gets busy in the springtime.
Right. Okay. And I'm just curious, because I must admit, not really knowing a whole lot about the world of track and field here in the Cayman Islands and coaching, but how many female coaches do we actually have here in Cayman?
That's a good question. I would say that I witnessed at the track, there's probably one other official coach, I would say. I'm not too familiar with the other clubs, and I don't try to get involved in the other clubs and their details, but I am aware of one other female coach.
And when you say clubs, because I've heard this mentioned before, explain to our listeners who might not be, again, like myself, necessarily well versed in track and field, but what are these clubs that exist?
So because Cayman does not have an official varsity level when it comes to sports, we have to do sports clubs. So the kids will come from all different schools on islands, and them and their parents will decide under which club. Essentially, they'll choose the coach. And whatever club the coach is affiliated with, that is the club they'll go with. So Coach Williams is my former head coach. He's High Tech Tigers. I assist and coach under his club. However, because of the type of knowledge that me and my husband have to give, we have made it publicly clear that we will coach anyone from all clubs. If someone needs help in pro small clubs, I'll help you coach. I'll help you. I'll help train you, even though you're another club. Same with my husband. He'll help the jumpers from other clubs. Stay with your club, but I will give you tips as well if needed, and with the permission of your club coach.
Right. And how many clubs are there?
I want to say there are 4 official clubs. High Tech Tigers, Mustangs, Speed Athletics, and Falcons. I may be wrong, but as far as I know, there are 4 official clubs.
Okay. All right. So that gives us a little bit of idea. So there are these clubs, and then the athletes will decide based normally on the coach and their skill level, whatever, or, if they just like them, I suppose, what coach they want to work with. And then they'll go through their club. And then the club feeds athletes into events like Carifta and whatever CIAA, whatever other events that they may have going on.
So you'll compete for your club at the local track meets, and then based if you hit the qualification, standards, the selection committee will then at that point select people regardless of what club they're from for the national teams.
For the national team. Got it. Okay, very good. So we got a little bit of background information, folks, that should help clarify, some of the background details. So you've been coaching for a couple months. How long have you been involved under the tutelage of Coach Williams?
Yeah, so since I got back in November, my husband and I immediately went under Coach Williams' club affiliation and just started going from there.
All right. So you're out on the track helping and working with these young people. So now this big Carifta event comes up. Is this an annual event?
This is an annual event. It's one of the biggest events in the region. Yes.
Yes. A couple of years ago, we hosted it, I think right before COVID. Cayman was the host, and it goes through to the different Caribbean regions. So I did see something online that I think who's getting it next, but they'll pick the countries. It's kind of like little mini Olympics for the Caribbean as it relates to track and field and swimming. And so there's a whole, I think they've picked now the next 2 years worth of hosting countries who will actually host it. And this is considered a pretty big deal to be a host country. Because, it brings people from all over the region. You get to, as a country, put on your best in terms of hosting. The hotels are full. It's just amazing. We see, Carifta wrapping up yesterday into today, and, athletes are now returning home. So I think this is a fantastic event for the host companies to showcase, but it's also a fantastic event for the regional athletes to go abroad, see what their regional competition looks like, compete with them. And gosh darn it, look at our guys walking away with a gold medal, bronze medal. Swimming did fantastic. We're competing at a relatively high level. But of course, there are criticisms that you have levied against at least 3 individuals now, you say, on the CIAA board, where you say, hold on a second, they're not really doing the best job that they could be doing. And you, as a volunteer coach, this isn't something that you're getting paid for, was trying to step up along with your husband to help our athletes. And they basically called the police on you. So tell us how this started with the whole Carifta debacle.
Just to keep it short and sweet, after my husband and I saw that we were coaching athletes, and we knew that some of our athletes would make the Carifta team, we made the decision to travel to Carifta. And I decided that, okay, if we're going to travel to Carifta, our athletes are going to be there. Let's ask for some accreditation. Because with my experience of going on 6 Cariftas, is always only 2 coaches selected the most. And I said, I know this is not going to be enough coaches for these games. So I asked the association. I contacted Sidoni. She said that it would be brought to the executive for consideration. I heard about maybe a couple of days later. I had the dates in my phone somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that based on the team size, they could only pay for 2 coaches. And I said to her, we're not looking for any pay. We have paid our way to get there already. We have our accommodation. We have transportation. All we need is accreditation. And I know for a fact, getting accreditation is one of the easiest things to do at these games. You just have to send our name in and we'll get these accreditations. I asked this about from January.
So you weren't asking for any money, no hotel, no tickets, nothing. You had all of that covered, just to be clear.
Yes, all that is covered.
Yeah. Okay.
So I asked this in January. I wanted to give them ample time. And I thought it was important to ask the association first because I knew that I could get these accreditations without them. But I didn't want to overstep or look as if, I'm just ignoring the association.
Yes. So you did go through to Sidoni.
Yes, I went through Sidoni. She came back a few days later, I believe. I let a few weeks pass. I asked again in March. And then it came to the point where I asked her, she said, same thing, sorry, no different news. Then after the Carifta press conference, I spoke to Mr. Delroy Murray personally, and I said to him, why is it so difficult to get these accreditations? He said the same thing with the quota. And he said, if it was up to me, I'd get you these passes a long time. And, I want that noted that I was said, because if there was any other issue with us getting these passes, it would have been said there. But he said to me, if it was up to him, we would have got these passes a long time, because everyone knows it's not a big deal to get these passes. So at this point, we realized the association is not going to help. And just to make sure that I'm hitting all the right channels, I called the info number for Bahamas, for the people that are in Carifta. And I said to them, hey, how do I go about getting accreditation? In addition to this, I do have contacts in Bahamas who are able to get me quick information. I was told there is an online form to sign up for accreditation. This is how all extra coaches go about getting their accreditations. Sign up, you get verified in person, you'll get your accreditation. We signed up, we went to pick up our accreditations, we were verified. This is Lacee Barnes. Yes. She's affiliated with Cayman. Yes. Got our accreditations. And that was that. Yeah.
So you got the accreditation and, you go this weekend. So day 1 was on Thursday. What's today? Today's Monday. So it's a 3-day event, right?
So, what most people don't know is we were helping out before the game started. We got our accreditations Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And we came to the training session at the stadium Thursday afternoon, where immediately we were asked to, hey, can you go to this group, please? Can you help assist with this group? I was told to go to the throwers and help them assist because, again, 2 coaches was not enough. At the end of the training session, my husband and I were asked to come to the Friday morning training session, 7 a.m., to come and just do a last tune-up with athletes. So it's just to be known that we've been helping behind the scenes before the games even started.
And no one said anything to you. Sidoni didn't say anything to you. President of CIAA didn't say anything to you at that point.
Nothing was said. And the managers and the head coaches were all present. The Thursday and Friday, we were there training athletes and being asked to assist. We heard nothing that our presence was not wanted up to that point.
Okay, wow. So 936-2626 is the telephone number, 936-BOBO. So you go through the channels, you get your accreditation. You're there helping with athletes. And I've heard some interesting stories. I mean, since yesterday we put up the story and stuff, my phone has been like pinging every couple seconds, people weighing in on this. Some people said that there were, sending 2 coaches for a national team is simply not enough, because there was even athletes who were saying that they had no one to massage them before they went to run. And that's a problem because you need to warm up those muscles and stuff properly. So even the athletes themselves were complaining that, they don't feel like they were getting enough attention with only 2 coaches for how many students? I think we actually put in the article. Sorry,
18 athletes.
18 athletes, 2 coaches. I don't know exactly how that works out in terms of coach to athlete ratio, but that seems awfully low to me. We do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you. I guess my questions are, and I appreciate what Lacey has volunteered to do to be of support to athletes in a official capacity, and I think that is commendable. Um, However, I think the caveat to that approach is, if you think about it, so there is rules that govern how many coaches are able to represent your country. And this is a rule that is set by Carifta. It's not set by the association in Cayman. So, for example, Cayman had, I feel, well, from what I recall, 18 representatives. Based on that number, there's 2 approved coaches that can be in attendance at Carifta. That's what the governing policy and document says, and it's available on the Carifta rules page. You can look it up yourself. Now, so whilst Lacey would have gone through the process to get accreditation legally via the website, what you have to think about an extension of that, say every coach from every club in Cayman did the same thing. What you will have in principle is 6, 7, 8 coaches representing under the Cayman umbrella at a Carifta event where the policy dictates and says, hey, we should have 2 to 3 coaches based on the size.
So let me understand this, because this is really quite important. We do have another person here who's also made the comment online. So you're saying that there's a set number of coaches that are allowed by the Carifta rules, but yet they will allow people to go online and apply and not know that there's a set number of coaches already representing a country. That sounds a little bit like confusing.
And you are right. So the caveat to that is, again, so the system itself is broken, right?
Well, can you blame Lacey for that? I mean, if she asked them, what's the process of getting accredited and being able to attend and help athletes, and they say just go on the website, fill out the form, seems like it's pretty straightforward. If on that form it doesn't even stipulate, okay, it's only 2 per country or 3 per country max, and we have to be within that limit, and we would have to verify that information before approving anybody else, then I mean that doesn't have anything to do with Lacey, in my opinion.
No, so I agree. So one of the things you have to also consider, even in that space, was the system, because it is broken, allow you to, in essence, violate the rules that is meant to govern the program. You don't just do it because you can, right? The official rule says, because there's a team official quota that clearly dictates how many officials each country can have representing them in that capacity. Whether the system allows you to bend that rule doesn't mean that you bend it and say, okay, well, that's not my fault that you allow me to bend the rule, but you know what the rules are.
So let me ask you a question, Lacey. Did you know that there was this rule that only 2 coaches could attend at this event?
So my understanding when I spoke to the CIAA was they could only pay for 2 coaches to attend the team. That was my understanding. I think when I even spoke to Mr. Murray after the press conference, he had told me, he'd even mentioned something about you have to pay a fee for extra coaches. And I said to him, hey, if we even got to pay a fee, we'll pay for this fee for these extra coaching accreditations. But, I think what the most important thing to remember is, rightfully so, the LOC of Bahamas would not create an avenue for coaches to be able to apply online for extra passes if this really was going to be something that could be damaging to the country. If so, you're very much right. It probably is a flaw in the system. Yes, however, I called, I didn't go about it myself. I was told that this was the avenue I could take. I told them, they just asked, what capacity are you here? Here's an extra coach. Where are you from? Cayman Islands. My pass has to say Cayman on it. I'm not from anywhere else.
Well, caller, we have reached out to the Cayman Islands Athletic Association, and there's some people who are asking us to clarify that CIAA is not the Cayman Islands Airport Authority. Those of you who might be confused, we're not talking to do anything with the airport this morning. We're talking about athletics. So it's the Cayman Islands Athletic Association. We have reached out to them with a number of questions. I don't see where they've responded as yet, not as of this morning anyway. And we will also reach out to Carifta in terms of understanding from their perspective what might have transpired. But caller, while I've got you on the line, even if what you say is correct, like only 2 coaches are allowed, and there's this loophole that was taken advantage of, explain to me how you believe this was handled by CIAA, Cayman Islands Athletic Association, calling the authorities to show up. And Lacey, when we say authorities, we're talking about armed police,
armed soldiers. They were in camo
and armed with like a gun. Armed.
Yes.
Right. So I'm of the opinion that approach, that's where I blame the association for, because we're still talking about our own Kimani.
Of course.
Right. So the approach I felt could have been more
diplomatic.
Yes. More diplomatic.
Yeah.
Should have been spoken to directly by the very association itself without going that route. So the police, the forceful removal, because in the end, what you want to still look at is what is our intent. The intent by Lacey is good. To support Cayman athletes, to be of support, and that is appreciated. So even if for them they're saying, hey, you know what, this action may have potentially put us in jeopardy in terms of breach of rules, the way it was handled was definitely, from my perspective, poor. It could have been handled better, because I don't think it's a situation where they could not have had a conversation with her directly.
Yes.
I think I think that route was poorly managed and could have been done way more diplomatic.
And Sandra, if I could interject real quick, while I was being escorted off by the Bahamian Athletic Association president, I had got confirmation by him that my route in getting my accreditation was very legal. And this is the president of the Bahamian Athletic Association. I told him exactly how I went about it, and he said, you're fine. He said the only issue was because your pass has Cayman on it, yes, the Athletic Association can file a complaint, but how you went about the pass was very much just.
Yeah, and I understand that, Lacey. So if you think about it, so for example, even though you are representing your team members as under the brand of a club, that is good and grand for local events. When there's a team that is official, that is formed and is not representative of Cayman, a national team and national coaches are selected to be the representative for the team members. And it's the same thing for countries in Jamaica, the Bahamas, Trinidad. It's the same due process that they follow, where a national team is decided on, it is elected, approved, and then is sent from that space. Now, again, whether or not the Bahamian president is saying yes, no, this was in fact a legal route to doing so, we still have to rely back on the rules. What did the rules say? And the rules did say 2 accompanying officials based on this threshold. So I can read it to you real quick.
But let me ask you a question, caller. You seem to know quite a bit about this. Do you actually think that 2 coaches for how many athletes again?
So for example, 7 to
18.
12 they have 2 accompanying officials. 13 to 18 is 3. 19 to 24, it's 4. 25 to 30, it's 5.
So these coaches are coaches in title only. Like they're actually not doing anything to help the athletes. Is that what you're telling me? Because there's no way. I'm just thinking of athlete to coach ratio, right? There is no way that these individual athletes are getting the attention they need with only 2 coaches.
Right. So there's that element of it. But because this is a long-standing rule that has been applicable, does it need potential revision or a second look at it? I'll say so. But that the ratio between
because athletes were complaining, their parents are reaching out to me, talking about how they're not getting massaged and proper assistance before running. Some of them, running without proper footwear and cleats and all this kind of stuff. I'm just like, huh? How does any of this happen?
So the challenge is that piece of in terms of the gears, from what I've been advised of. So Coach Williams, they typically offer gears to the athletes if they ask, I feel. I think there may be a communication issue there in regards to equipping athletes, because if you're representing Cayman, your shoes, your gears are covered by the association. So it shouldn't be a situation where there's any athlete that is participating or representing Cayman that doesn't have the correct gear to represent the country.
So they need to be asking you're expecting teenagers to be begging, asking coaches for stuff that they need. Coaches are not making the assessment of what's needed for these athletes to perform.
I'll say there's a drop in the bucket from that space as well.
Okay. All right, my dear. Appreciate the call very much. You've certainly added some further food for thought and some insight. Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome.
Okay, dear. All right. So 936 Bobo is certainly the telephone number. We do have a number of questions, like Miss Brenda saying, why wasn't this explained to Lacee when she asked? She was told that they can only afford 2. So again, this is a good point, Miss Brenda, because this then, some people are like, oh, well, Lacee, she should have known better. And she was putting the association into disrepute and they could have been, fined for this, whatever. The Cayman Islands Athletic Association, to be clear, Lacee, they never explained any of that to you, why there's a 2-coach rule. They only said that they can only afford to pay 2 coaches.
They said based on the quota of the team, they could only pay for 2 coaches. But with my experience in track and field since I was 12 years old, and if anyone knows track and field I can't even say if anyone's known track and field, because you would have to actually be an individual athlete or a coach to know what I'm about to talk about. If anyone knows track and field to the depth that I know it, he made a point that, what if all club coaches come and get accreditations? Realistically, that could happen. And I say that because if you are an athlete and you're walking around the track and you're seeing the different events, you would have noticed even at Carifta that some athletes are being coached and the coaches are not their national team coaches. They have their coaches flying in from the States or wherever to come and coach them. This is actually a fact. When it comes to track and field, it is very common that coaches will get their personal coaches to come down on their own cost and just secure accreditation to coach them. That is actually very common. So, again, it could be a breakdown in the system, but this is something that happens in track and field constantly because remember, this is an individual sport.
Yes, because ultimately the athlete should be comfortable with whoever their coaches are. So just because the athletic association is saying we're only going to send these 2 coaches, if I were, say, I don't know what I'd probably be a sprinter. If I were a sprinter, right, doing the 100-meter, I could say, I don't want to work with either one of those. I'm going to bring in my own personal coach is what you're saying.
Yeah, essentially, if your coach is coming down, he pays his own way and he gets accreditation and he's in the warm-up area with you. If you're saying you're only taking instructions from your coach, it is what it is. And that's how it goes with track and field. That's honestly how it is.
All right,
it happens at the professional level and the junior level.
Yes. Okay. Caller, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
Yes, ma'am.
I felt so moved that I had to call in this morning. Lacee is one of my babies. My mother and I grew up as athletes together. We worked together. And I felt strongly that I had to call in. And Lacee, I applaud you for standing strong and respectfully speaking your truth. And I was very, very pleased that you admitted that maybe you shouldn't have called the athlete's name. And I know that you did it because it was in the heat of the moment. But what I would like to say, I heard that caller and I heard all the points that he made. I am sorry. No way on earth CIAA should have behaved the way they behaved. It was despicable.
Exactly.
Despicable.
Yeah.
They should apologize to Lacee publicly. And you know what? The way they behaved clearly speaks to their inability to lead CIAA. And when I say that, I'm not speaking about everybody, but they should be held accountable. You do not do what they did.
Exactly.
To a national athlete like
Lacee
Barnes.
And young people who are trying to help.
Exactly. She's out there every day. I am at the stadium and I see her there every day giving it back. She's respectful. She still represents us, for God's sake. Lacee has experience in the throws. That's why she's done so well. Coach Williams would not have invited her to come out there had she not had the expertise in the areas that he thinks she has. Also, she trained in Grenada, flew there under her own money and her parents' money to train under the best, Coach Paul. And we saw what his athletes did in the World Championships. This is despicable. CIAA should be ashamed of themselves. And that's the end of it. They could have handled that differently.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
I'm not saying that but they could have handled that differently. You do not do that.
Yes. Thank you, caller. Appreciate it. Did they say anything to you, Lacee, before the police were called on you? I mean, I'm trying to understand how this fell out, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe they said something to Lacee and she started to kung fu kick them and get really belligerent or something. Then like, oh my God, we need armed guards for this, 20-something-year-old young lady. I mean, I don't see you, being that kind of person, but I was like, who knows? Like maybe there's more to this story. Is there more to this story? Did they speak to you?
They did not. And, I think this is what I really want to hit home with people. And this is why I was so emotional when it happened. I actually bawled my eyes out. And the reason being is because it was the lack of communication for me. As I told you, we were there Thursday and Friday. We were asked to come and help train the athletes because they needed the help. And just again, when we went to train these athletes and coach them, we never went and just told Coach Williams, we're going to go look at this. We said, hey, Coach, where do you want us to go? Where do you want us to go? He's like, hey, please go here. Please go here. Please go here. Because it's not enough hands. But yeah, no communication whatsoever. And what's so interesting about it is the Saturday morning, probably about 30 minutes before we got escorted off, I was walking to the shot put area where I had a couple athletes getting ready to compete. And I actually saw Miss Sidoni speaking to Coach Williams. And, I said, the athletes are important right now. I'm just going to go straight to them. There's no time for these politics right now. Sidoni at that point obviously knew what she had done, what was about to go down, and she said nothing. At that point, I was just told by Coach Williams, you can't coach. You can't help me coach today. I said, okay, I didn't want to cause a scene. I left. I went to the warm-up area. Thankfully, I knew the Bahamian Association's president. So when I saw him, I was like, oh, what is he doing here? And I see the two soldiers come up to him. And I just touched my husband and I said, I have a feeling this is for us right now. He said, this is the most unfortunate situation. Your association has reported you to NACAC and World Athletics to have your passes revoked and for you to leave the games.
Oh my God.
And what was so sad about that was we were sitting with the team in warm-ups. The Cayman team and other countries are right next to us. And the soldiers, when they approached us, they came very sternly, holding their sides as if like, we're going to run off or something. And I hugged the president and I just whispered in his ear. I said, hey, this isn't necessary. Like, I'm going to come with you. Like, this is not necessary. And thankfully, because he knew me, he just said, so to the soldiers, just, relax. And, while we walked, he said, Lacee, I know you. And, let's go have a discussion with your president because I don't want to just kick you out of the games. He said, hold my hand while we walk, to the press board. So it doesn't look so bad.
People from the other teams watching this, people in the stands would have been seeing this as well. This is embarrassing. This is so.
Right before this, I was actually speaking with the other countries' throws coaches who all know me from my Carifta days and who were so happy to see me coaching. So they saw and witnessed me being escorted with the president because everyone knows who the president is. They've seen the soldiers walk behind us and everyone is like, what's going on? What's going on? Even, at this point, even Coach Williams is like, wait. What's happening here? Wow. My mom is in the stands actively trying to call me on my phone and I can't answer because she's like, where are you going? Where are you going?
Oh my God.
And another thing
Lacee, we do have a caller, and unfortunately when we get WhatsApp calls, it kind of dips your audio a little bit. So let's just go ahead and take this caller's comment or question, and then we're going to come back to you. Caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
I am emotional about this situation.
It's horrible. Like I'm thinking if that was my child,
this young lady,
unbelievable.
So much. She's a mentor to young people. How could they do something like this? I mean, what is this showing our young people? She worked so hard. I know this young lady from she was a little girl.
Yeah.
She worked so hard. Kudos to her mom and her dad that stood by her, got her to this point. She's coming back home. She didn't have to come back to Cayman because I'm sure that she can do better elsewhere. Just put it that way. but her love for her country has brought her back home to be with her people and to show example to her young people. And we're gonna have trashes, and I'm gonna say trashes today because it was the lowest that I've ever seen association or a
This
group
is
of
pretty,
people
yeah, this is pretty
come
bad.
down. This is the worst. I've never, and I try to be involved with young people, following up in what they're doing, whatnot. And this has got to be the lowest that I've seen. And like a caller before called to say, every one of them need to step down.
I agree.
Government need to take some control of them, hold back their funds until they can prove that they are there for one purpose and one purpose alone, and that is for the athletes. Look at the potential that these young people got. Look at it. You know why they're not making it? Because what the old people say, bad mind.
Too much politics into this thing.
Lacee come up
Yeah.
and take over the jobs, which she will do. She will come in there and the
Well, at this rate, Miss Darlene,
they need to be out.
yeah, I mean, at this rate, they seem like they're going to be the geriatric board or committee here. And this is indicative not just of the Cayman Islands Athletic Association, but we see this across the board where people get into these positions. Even Miss Cayman, I've said this about them. They get in there and they feel like it's a lifelong appointment. And then the focus becomes not on the young people that are supposed to be benefiting from their so-called expertise, but it becomes more about them and what they get out of it. I think there maybe should start to be some term limits on how long people can serve. How anybody knows how long Sidonie has been on CIAA and why she refuses to step down?
And the main question is, what is she doing? What is she contributing to it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because if she's there as long as this, what is she contributing?
I would love to know.
If she's not doing anything, then bye. Let them go.
Exactly.
This is really a disgrace. Honest to God, I have never seen anything like this. But all I can say to Lacee, you push it. Keep on pushing, girl. You got what it takes. You have worked hard. You labored. And this is your time to shine. So government needs to step into this too. Government needs to get.
Yeah, and a lot of people are asking me, where's the minister in all of this? They're asking for his feedback. I'm going to read some comments that came through yesterday about the minister and so forth, because people are asking for accountability now at the ministerial level, which would be the Honorable Bernie Bush, saying that he needs to make a statement about this and he should disband this entire board. Caller, thank you so much for your call.
Exactly. Bye-bye.
All right. So, Lacee, what an embarrassment. Oh my God. That's just horrific. Your mom is sitting there watching this go down. You've got other people in the stand, athletes, coaches, watching you and your husband being escorted off by armed guards. I can't even.
Well, just to clarify, it was just me being escorted off because the Bahamian president did not know what my husband looked like or anything. He just told me just to get his pass, and I didn't want to say, hey, come on, let's go. He didn't know how he looked, so it's after we went to the press conference. I faced Sidonie, Delroy, and Osbert because I also faced them when I was being escorted. It's only after I faced them, and then the president disbanded the soldiers. Then we went back to get my husband, and then he was able to give us these VIP passes to stay. But I did face the three of them with the Bahamian president.
And what did you say to them in this moment that you were obviously, as you said, crying and very emotional? What did you say to them?
Well, one thing I'm not going to do is cry in front of these people. At that point, it's
that's
shock.
right, girl. That's right, girl. Don't make them see you cry. They don't deserve your tears.
They didn't. Mr. Murray said good morning. Mr. Osborne said good morning. Sidonie stood a bit further back. She said nothing. She crossed her hands and she just stared at me the whole time. The president just basically said, this is the situation. This is a complaint. I don't want Lacee and her husband to have to leave the games. I have 2 VIP passes. I would like for them to stay and watch the games. They said that's fine with them. And, in the heat of the moment, I just said, my opinion of the association. I just told Miss Sidonie, this is not the end. And, I just wanted her to know in that moment, you're not going to embarrass a fellow Caymanian, current national athlete, because I'm still actively trying to compete for the Cayman Islands. I'm still training.
Yes.
You know, you're not going to embarrass me, and this is not going to be the end of it. And I just wanted her to know that, because it's been too long that, you know,
and
the
this is so, we have a couple callers, we'll take their calls, but I must tell you, Lacee, to me, this is egregious on so many levels. First of all, as a fellow Caymanian, I think this is very, very egregious. You know, Sidoni has been given an opportunity to represent the Cayman Islands. She's been embraced by the Cayman community at all levels. And also as a woman, someone who should be mentoring other young women in the athletic profession, I call nothing but disgrace and shame on Sidoni's name this morning, because I cannot believe that she would have any part of this. And I get the feeling, based on what others have said to me, that she would have been the driving force behind these other two men coming to this conclusion. And I think that that's especially really, really sad and indicative of her lack of professionalism. And you just mentioned that, you know, you spoke and the other two men spoke to you and Sidoni had nothing to say. I mean, Sidoni, your level of professionalism speaks for itself. And I think that somebody needs to now make a tough decision and ask this board to step down. Callers, let me see who came in first to try to be fair to everyone. Give me 1 second here. We have, you guys are almost neck and neck, but the number ending in 1181 called in first. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Cayman. This is Marva. How are you doing?
Morning, Marva. How are you?
Good, fine, thanks. Lacee, I just want to say to you, job well done.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely commend you. And I'm so proud of you as a young Caymanian woman for standing up and speaking out. I am so proud of you right now. There's only one word to describe the actions of Sidoni and the other members of the Cayman Islands Athletic Association and what they did to you and your husband, and it's unscrupulous. I am so upset, but you know what? This is where now we put the rest of the association, the members, those that will take the board down. This is where we put them to the test, because now it has been exposed. Let's see what the rest will do in regards to them, because obviously they need to come down. And then, of course, that's step one. And then if they don't do anything, then we're going to put it then on the next step up from them. And I think we know where that is, and it shouldn't even reach that level. Let's see what the board will do. My God, I hope this is not another Miss Cayman episode. You're absolutely right. But congratulations, Lacee. And of course, we should all be to the airport this evening welcoming them. I would really love to see their faces when they walk off, how bright and shining they will be, knowing the shame and disgrace that they have brought or highlighted Cayman worldwide with their actions. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. All right, to our second caller, welcome to the program. Hello, good morning.
Me.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Yes, interested. And Sandra Martinez, 2 thumbs up. If I had 4, like I always say, I would give you 4 thumbs up.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
And everybody reveal the slackness, everything that's corrupt that's been going on on this island here, on and in this island here. And I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
The federation of the athletes is very poor. It's not just now. It's been, and I applaud the young lady. I heard this, and it's not here. This is from abroad. I heard of this, and I said, you know what? I'm going to listen tomorrow, and I'm going to hear this. This is like worldwide, you know. It is sad. Bernie needs to rip these guys out and replace them.
Yes,
because they ain't doing anything. It is sad. Where is the sportsmanship in this? You're supposed to be a team member. There's no team about this.
Yes.
There's not none of this. This is like selfishness, or is it just a paycheck? I don't know. This is overwhelming. You can't even.
It's hard to understand. It's hard to understand. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. This is sad for the Cayman Islands. This is sad, and they're talking about the young generation don't have nothing to do. They know this someone, but we're not getting the help. They're not getting the help from Caymanians who is on the board, who is supposed to represent them. And it's sad to know that coaches have to go in their pocket when you have money in Cayman right now can help the kids of Cayman Island. That's the honest truth. Have a good day. Yes, Sandra.
All right, my dear. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. 936 Bobo is the telephone number. I'm going to read some comments as well. We've got a lot of comments coming in. So thank you, Diamond Princess. That was from earlier. Let me just see. So Everton says, I'm in support of Lacee 100%. I listened to her live stream. She's a very intelligent woman, and she just wants to represent and to help out her countrymen. There's no reason why she and her husband should be treated in this humiliating way. It's a disgrace. Keep up the good work, young lady. Don't let them stop you from being a role model. Johan weighs in, says organized sports and all associations in Cayman always get a black eye because of the egos, cliques, power struggles, lack of funding, and failure to commit to a proper short to medium term strategic plan focused on developing youth and helping current athletes. He also says, however, don't paint the hardworking volunteers, all the hardworking volunteers with the same brush. The success of the program is driven by dedicated parents and persons that give up their personal time away from their families and jobs to make these programs work. T-Rib says, what if all coaches from all clubs from Cayman did that? Well, I mean, the thing again that's interesting is that if there's nothing against it, somebody said on WhatsApp, this person is confused because they're like, they don't understand. If it is a rule, it should not say should. I mean, it's either rule or not. They also went on to say they did that to Lacee because they didn't want her to get any credit for the successes of the team. She did all the work and they get all the credit. They should be fired. They should be removed from the board, in my opinion. Miss Darlene says, Sandy, this is almost embarrassing for Cayman. I think she's almost embarrassed for Cayman. I'm understanding that not even a physiotherapist was there to aid our athletes. Alejandro says broken systems and everything seems like a sport itself to me. Johan says, couldn't this have been sorted out before everybody reached the games overseas and now overshadowing the achievements of the athletes despite the obvious dysfunction and internal squabbles? Sometimes, Johan, you've got to air these internal squabbles. Again, like I said, government is funding the Cayman Islands Athletic Association. So we, the people, have a right to know. And secondly, it's involving our young people. So even if government wasn't funding them, this would still very much be a topic this morning because this has to do with our young people. Miss Darlene says, in regards to this caller from earlier, so then didn't the likes of Sidani and Murphy didn't tell Lacee that? Again, it's very, very confusing why there was this complete lack of communication with her. And they went straight to the authorities with, in law, we talk about force. Young lady, you said you're in law school. Congratulations. We talk about force being appropriate or proportionate is the legal term. This wasn't proportionate to what was going on here. This was an overuse of force by all accounts. Stuart says, sounds like the CIAA feelings and egos were hurt, that they weren't the governing body to rule on this. Grateful Bonica says, hey, hi caller, every Carifta coaches are able to request extra accreditation. This is nothing new. When Carifta was held in Cayman, a team came with 2 athletes and 2 coaches, and there was no issue then. So this person, Bonica, saying it's happened before. Ms. Marva says, so this person on the radio right now is saying that is what I have been informed of. Why is he trying to justify or talk on their behalf? I think the committee, this board should speak for themselves as well. Marva says, educate us, Lacee, because the caller was obviously set up to call in and try to justify the CIAA's unprofessional actions. Celia says, when Brianna Williams from Jamaica ran in Carifta in 2019, she came with her then personal coach, Atto Bolden, and he had his accreditation approved by Jamaica. So not the first time it's happened. Diamond Princess says, not to call any names, but one of the Cayman athletes has his personal coach with him. Diamond Princess, is that now in real time? Interesting. Aliano says a standard police intervention, not frontline combat armed soldiers. Again, I don't know if there's a difference in the Bahamas, but that's shocking. Renee says, question, if you applied for this pass, why weren't the association updated? curiosity, if they were aware that you applied to this, then why call the police? Leads me to believe the links you mentioned did this without their consent. So do you know, to clarify this question, Lacee, when you applied online, was the Cayman team informed? Would you know that, or?
I wouldn't know that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not your responsibility either.
I was just told to apply, and we asked where to pick up our accreditations. We went to the building, picked up our accreditations. We got verified of who we were and that we are from Cayman, and we're here to coach athletes.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing is, and what I really want to hit home with people is, you know, whether something was done wrong or there was a loophole and something wrong in the system, the main issue here today is that I'm Caymanian, you know, this is a Caymanian team. You don't deal with someone, you know, from your own home country in that way at all, and even worse in foreign lands. Because of this situation, we've involved the Bahamian Athletic Association. We've involved all the other countries, and you know, who are the coaches who are close to me that saw this. And I think my main issue with the whole situation was, one, it could have been communicated. This didn't have to happen this way. Two, if everyone said, you know, when I got my verifications that the way I went about my accreditation was very legal, who did it benefit to have our accreditations revoked? Because as mentioned earlier, the head coaches assigned us where to go because they were shorthanded. There was a point where there was 4 athletes competing at the same time, or 2 are looking for physios in the back. A lot was going on, you know? So it's not like we were just there for a free pass. We were actively busy the whole of Saturday, Thursday and Friday when we're there training. So, you know, I just want that known that we were under instructions and we were assisting, we were needed. But again, whether there was a loophole, that's not how you deal as a leadership and governing body. You take step one first, call me. Miss Sidoni has my personal number. I could have been called Thursday night. I could have been called Friday. I could have been called Saturday after she saw me coaching. I could have been called Saturday after the morning session to say, hey, Lacee, we need to have a meeting. How'd you get this accreditation? What's going on? We don't want you out there. I wouldn't even have mind being threatened that I would have been reported. And, you know, at least I could have made that decision if I was going to go against the CIAA. But to walk past Miss Sidoni Saturday morning and she knows what she is about to, what is about to go down, and nothing has been said, that's the most hurtful part to me, because you didn't need to embarrass me. And I'm wearing a Cayman shirt. I've been seen walking around talking to Cayman. I'm affiliated with Cayman, and you're seeing me being escorted off by soldiers. It just is unnecessary for the country.
And to that point, and then we got 2 callers on the line. Somebody sent me this yesterday. They said things are getting nastier, Sandy, as I just got word that the Bahamian press is at the hotel where our Caymanian athletes are staying doing interviews. How did they get in there to interview these underage athletes without parental rights? This is getting out of hand now, and that's all because of this. I mean, of course, the press, you know, CMR were the first to break this story, but I mean, all press would be very, very interested in this story for more reasons than one. I mean, it's egregious on a number of levels. But let's go ahead to our callers now. Good morning, callers, and welcome to the program. We've got first one up being Denny. Good morning, Denny.
Morning.
Morning.
Lacee, I'd like to say to you that
Speak up a little bit, Denny. You're coming in a little bit low.
I would like to say to you, Lacee, that
yes.
I really appreciate knowing that you have the courage that you do to help our athletes, to care about our athletes. And I wish that all future generations of Caymanians would look at you as being courageous and what we can achieve by being courageous. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who has a daughter in college, and I asked her if she's going to be returning to Cayman. And she said no. And I said, why not? She said, because Caymanians tear each other down too much. When I saw your video, right, I can't even speak right now because there are tears in my eyes. That's how much I appreciate the courage that you have to look out for the interests of Caymanians. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I mean, it's very sad. All right, another caller in line. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes,
good
we can hear you.
Okay. And good morning to Lacee. Lacee, I'd
Morning.
like to say to you, you probably don't know me, but I've watched you as a young girl when you started athletics, and I've always admired you. Didn't know you personally, but knew you by name. I have actually followed you throughout high school, and like I said, I have the deepest respect for you. And before I forget to say it, I'd also like, now that I have the chance to speak to you, to congratulate you on your achievements when you represented Cayman, not just in winning, but in the way you did it. You are a true sports lady. You're a fine example of what our young women would want to be looking up to if they, in fact, have any inclination to be involved in sports. And I share your pain. Like the previous caller said, it was difficult for me to even hear the story. I cried, and I too had a passion for sports. I was an athlete from the age of 11, and I came up through the ranks. I'm going to try my best not to call any names at all here. And, when I actually retired, I retired from competitive, play, but I went on to, umpire and to coach. And even at my job, we had the corporate league, and people found out that according to them, I used to be a star. They wanted me to get a team together, coach that team, and so on. I said I have to say, I understand your passion, and most of all, I respect you so much and appreciate the fact that you wanted to come back here and to give back to your country. This is not somebody else's country. This is yours. And clearly you have the good common sense to understand and appreciate what your country was able to offer you and the stage that it led you to. And I'm now thinking of two other athletes, I won't call their names, who have gotten bigger and better opportunities than you did. And neither one of them chose to come back to give anything back to Cayman, except what they've always done was use Cayman as a stepping stone to get somewhere else. And that happened on a very repetitive basis. And while like I said, I'm strenuously trying my best here not to call any names, but the name has been called already. And while I'm not going to call the name, I think everyone will know who I'm speaking about. When I heard this, when it first broke, and I heard the name attached to it, and let me just say, I do know some of the underbelly behavior that caused this and why this happened the way it happened. But I will let Lacee and her parents speak to that. But it reminded me of, I don't remember the year, maybe Lacee can help me out here. I don't remember what year Olympics it was, but I do remember the athlete, his Hyman something or something Hyman. When he had qualified to go, he was thinking he runs the 100-meter, and he had qualified to move on, then to qualify for the finals. And of course, we were all excited and we're watching, and it comes out, and where it says Cayman, you see DNS. That means did not show. Okay? So of course, we want to know what's happening. I have friends that were on the executive body, and I'm calling them saying, what happened to him? What happened to him? And I'm going to be very careful when I say this, because I don't want to be sued, although it was put out there in the public and quite a few years ago. So I'm going to say it was alleged. But these words came from the athlete himself. He said that this female, he said he was having a nagging pain in his side. And he told his doctors had checked him. they couldn't find any cause for this pain.
Mm-hmm.
Physio had checked him. They all cleared him fit to run.
Mm-hmm.
But this female was there. And the female went behind everyone's back and said to him, and I want you to listen to this, and I'm going to stress again, it's alleged. She told him, do not run that race. You have to think about your future and what you want to do with your future. You know, you could end it here if you run that race. And when I heard that, the only thing that came to me was, you know, this is when you haven't accomplished anything and you don't want anyone else to be the first to do it because you feel. I know that the matter was dealt with. It was a very heated thing going on here at the top level with the Olympic Committee, and everybody was calling for that female to be removed, not to be around the athletes anymore. It was poor advice. Nobody could fathom why that advice would be given, and especially for this young man who had gotten this opportunity, not realizing he had reached the grandstand. He was at the Olympics. How many of them get that opportunity? And this was the advice he was given, and he took it. The body thought about him as a person, not getting into details, and they decided that he would be forgiven, but I think it was with a penalty. Everybody wanted to expel this female. I think the vote may have failed because of circumstances. And then there was another incident where the same female with a disgraced attachment wanted to be the manager of the Cayman team with the Olympics in London. And it was flat out denied because this attachment has been banned for feeding steroids and stuff like that, I think, to the athletes. And so, of course, there were bad feelings there too. So what I have seen over the years is someone, and this is my personal opinion, using their personal grievances to now bring Cayman down. This is dangerous, and I hope that our government will look at this and make a decision about it, because this could get really, really worse. And based on everything we now know, I actually was very shocked to know that this person is still allowed to be around athletes. Okay?
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you very much for the time. And again, Lacee, you are who you are. No one can take that from you. You keep soaring like the eagle. Everybody else has to fly under the eagle. Just remember that.
Very
you are
good.
Caymanian.
Thank
and
you.
Be proud.
Thank you so much. All right. So, my gosh, my phone is blowing up on so many different levels. Ms. Marva says, Renee, I love and respect you, but please don't try to justify the unscrupulous behavior of the members of the Cayman Islands Athletic Association. And thank you so much to, let me see the young lady here now. Michelle clarified that CIAA actually changed its name recently to the Cayman Athletics Association. Good thing, because I'm sure the other CIAA is like, whoo, honey child, we don't need the bad press. Gabby says the way that they went about it just shows it was bad mind, shaking my head. Easy Pay says, and this on top of that other young gentleman, also a national athlete, who stepped back and quit due to lack of support. I forget his name and event, but it's also just recently. My goodness, what a mess. Who knew that all this was going on? Misha says Sidoni should be ashamed of herself. This is a perfect scenario of power in the wrong hands. Lacee, you and your husband, keep your heads high and can you continue to strive as you all are. Angeline says it could not be any more obvious that Sidoni is jealous of Lacee. Such a shame, quite frankly. At her age, again, she should be encouraging and working along with Lacee. Misha says hardworking people suffer when power is given in the wrong hands. Sidoni should be ashamed of herself for misusing it. Denver says time for this lady to step down and out. I think we're all in agreement that Sidoni needs to go. I don't see anybody here saying that she should stay. You know, what a hot mess. Beth says they even got soldiers involved. What a humiliation. Stay strong, stand tall, and rush forward. Watching from Texas. Thank you so much. Diamond Princess says humans always have hidden agenda. It's wrong to embarrass another just to build your selfish desires. Someone on WhatsApp, let me try to this person says, this is what happens when Cayman gives expats an opportunity and then turn around and discriminate against Caymanians. Typical behavior. Why definite is still involved with Cayman athletes is beyond me, given her history. Oh, I think that's supposed to be why Sidoni. Yes, why Sidoni is involved with Cayman athletics is beyond me, given her history. This other person says, oh God, the comments are just unbelievable. What a hot mess. Lord have mercy. This other person says, Miss Sidoni, of all people, should not even be there. Just saying. No, sir. Somebody else says, who needs Netflix? What a hot mess. Good morning. I had hoped that Sidoni had got some decency with age. But it's clear that she's only gotten worse. Time for her to go. She's all about power and massaging her ego. Another person says, think we need to make it clear that government, and in particular, the Minister for Sports, has no control over the composition of the Athletics Association. They can only do that. They can only do what they did with CIFA and take away the grant from public funds. Well, let's do that then. Let's do that until the, what do they call themselves now? The Athletic Association gets it together, because clearly they don't have it together. Someone else says, yeah, they could have waited for Lacee at the end of the day and talk with her and say, you know, we can't have you doing this. Bernie is with the swimming team, but might be back soon. So he's probably coming in the flight this afternoon. Oh my gosh. Someone said, ask Lacee why the country's national coach, Tyrone Yen, wasn't in attendance, but the retired technical director, Mr. Williams, who's also a club coach, like the other club coaches, was in attendance. Also, why the selection committee consists of Sidoni and Mr. Williams and not the other club coaches. Also, Lacee speaks on some good points, but let's not forget the special treatment that she received when her father was a president during the time that she was on the team. So, Lacee, obviously your parents are connected to the sports environment. Your father was a member of the then CIAA, now the Athletic Association. Did you receive any special treatment, to the best of your knowledge, because of his position on the executive?
To the contrary, I won't address that question too long, because again, the whole point of us being here today is just the gross mistreatment of, you know, having me escorted by 2 soldiers and my husband being escorted. That is the main problem today, and that Cayman athletes deserve the attention because they're worth it. In terms of my father, definitely no special treatment. As any Cayman athlete, I have to qualify. I have to compete at the same meets everyone has to compete. I have to qualify the same way. I have to hit the qualification honors. I've not made teams because I didn't qualify for them, and I made teams because I qualified for them. It's just that simple. No Cayman athlete receives special treatment. We're all equal. We all just deserve the best attention equally. And again, that's not the point of today's interview.
Yeah, I mean, how do you receive special treatment as an athlete? It's not like he's out there throwing the discus for you, I don't think. So, all right, we've got a caller, I believe, on the line. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Lucy. How you all doing this morning?
Good.
Yeah. I must say, right, this is a whole systemic thing about Caymanians, or people pushing down the Caymanians. As far as I recall, Lucy, Lacee has taken her whole teenage years, instead of her being like some of the teenagers have nothing to do and running up and down. She basically taken, from what I've gathered, her whole teenage years and put it towards sports. Right? Now to turn around to give back to his community what was given, because a lot of people have gotten grants, a lot of people have gotten scholarships, and this had nothing to do with Cayman or the people after that. You're telling me that she went off to do all of this, and then you're going to embarrass someone in public. One of the things is they could have pulled her to the side. There's no way that this lady is going to have respect from any international stage if she's able to go back and do this again, because they're already giving her a black eye on this, right? And it's kind of disrespectful in any what way. I'm sorry that she had to deal with this. My daughter's on the tracking team. The coach that resigned is my daughter's coach. My daughter's really, really, really upset. She's at home right now, upset because of this crap. And I think that the people, regardless, and the person that just made that comment is a deflection. So therefore, you could see where they stands as well. They like, disregard everything else to just what happened. You do not pull someone with military presence and pull them off the stage. Number one, how did she get to where she was? Obviously, she was invited. Obviously, she was on
She had the
plane.
credentials, yeah.
Right. Obviously, she had the credentials. She got on the flight. He didn't just go up there on a raft or on a boat, and say, "Hey, I'm here." Right. So they knew she was there. They knew her intent. So it's not like you just showed up at Sports Day and in Cayman and said, "I'm going to do this." So they knew that she was coming. So all of us.
And my question is to her is, what is I guess the people from the ministry are saying anything about this? Because I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah. No word from the ministry as yet, but we did have someone just point out that the ministry doesn't control who's on that, on the athletic association. They only control the public funding that they get, which is in excess of $100,000. But I think, you make your moves where it hits the most and where it's the most impactful. And that's normally with the finances. So I think government should hold off on financing until they get some answers here.
Right. I mean, I think it's kind of disingenuous, because the same thing they did to Kareem Street, they didn't back him until he went to the U.S. And then after he came from the U.S. and got this sponsorship, then they pulled him back in. I think there's no one better to train the kids than someone who's been through that situation.
Exactly. Because even I mean, it strikes me as interesting that coaches, I guess, all right, they're a coach, whatever. But if they've never competed and they've never been to Carifta, there are people like Lacee who can add a lot to the table in terms of how she can assist these young people. You can be the world's best coach, but if you've never competed, and you have people who have competed who can then, as she said, work under you. Because yes, I guess Coach Williams has years of experience as a coach, but without a doubt, Lacee brings a different level of experience, a different type of experience that would be beneficial.
From what I gather, Lacee, correct me if I'm wrong, you were not trying to take control of being the coach. She was just assistant, correct?
Yeah, she said that.
Okay,
she said that she's being told where to go and what to do.
The thing is, you have young kids that are going there that never been to the Carifta. Lacee could look and say, "Listen, this is how you need to act professionally. This is how you need to represent your island." And she could give them insight of what she'd been through. Even if she made a little mistake back then, she could correct her mistake by teaching the other kids not to make that same mistake. You understand? And I will say this, and before I go, Lacee, I implore your tenacity. I implore your professionalism. I implore the way that you acted and the way you conducted yourself overseas, because it could have been like what Sandy said. If it was somebody from West Bay, let me tell you something, girl, it would have been something different. You understand?
Yes, honey, chill. So even them Georgetowners might have slapped somebody. Right. They might have slapped Sidoni that day too.
So I implore you, keep your head up, and for all the parents that have their kids into these sports teams, hold them accountable. Ask for questions.
Yes.
Right. And Lacee, I'm not sure if you can do this.
Yes.
But this is just a heads up. Do your own association, build your own team, build your own coach team.
Yeah.
that
I mean, the
people have.
fractioning, let me say this, because this happens. I was talking about this yesterday with churches. I was taking my guests around and, all of a sudden we don't like people who wear blue shirts to church. So we're going to break off and form our own church. The fractioning of our people for such a small population makes zero sense. We have these associations in place. They're not supposed to be about the individuals in the association. I think that's what happens far too often. It's about these egos and so on. Somebody sent me a quote yesterday about power. And I thought, I'm going to try to find it. If you sent it to me yesterday, please resend it, because I thought it was very, very appropriate about how people abuse and misuse power. Here it is. It says, when the power of love becomes a love for power, narcissists are born. It was so on point. So on point. But leave me there, caller. We do have another person on the line.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay, there. Thanks very much. All right, caller number 2. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra. This is Mika. I called in earlier.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes.
When I said it was very despicable, but I just wanted to, when I heard that person said, or you read something saying that Lacee was given special treatment when her father was president, that is utter nonsense. I'm sorry. I just have to say it just like that. Nonsense. Lacee made that clear. She qualified. If she didn't qualify, she didn't go. And that's just how that was. And, I hear some people bashing Sedona. Sedona should take some credit for this, because I do believe, I don't know for sure, but I do believe that she would have been the main person leading it. But Sedona was our athlete, and she was a phenomenal athlete. You got to give her credit. And you know what? Not everybody that represents us are born Caymanians, but they are Caymanians because they're here from birth. As a child, and they grew up here.
Yes.
I supported Sedona 110%.
Yes.
Used to call her, used to email her all the time, make sure that she got bigged up, go to the airport to meet her. And I have to applaud her and many others who represent us that we must embrace. So we need to separate this. This is not about that.
Yes.
It's about despicable behavior that was displayed and the unprofessional way that we handled it. You do not do what they did to Lacee. To anyone. That just speaks volumes about that association. So I just wanted to make it clear that we shouldn't be calling just to bash Sedona and go back to talk about when she represented us.
Yes.
That's not right. That's not what this is about. You call it as you see it. And Lacee didn't get any special treatment. She didn't get any. But those associations, not only the CIAA, many other associations are making mistakes right now here in Cayman. And this needs to be talked about more. And young people like Lacee need to do exactly what she's doing and come forward with a group of people and vote people out, not just to vote them out if they're not good. I believe that there are many people within that association, like Simone Campbell, who there are decent people there who has a lot of capabilities. But I believe that, yes, some of them have to go. What these associations need to realize that they're put in positions, they're voted there by the people who are members of clubs who work in the best interest of those same people. So their agenda should be about making things better for the members and the teams, the team players, whether it's basketball, netball, or football. In this case, the athletic clubs and the people who represent the association. Otherwise, they don't have a position. It doesn't exist without the people. And these are the things that that these people need to understand. It's like they're a law unto themselves.
Right.
How did it get to this point? The egos need to be deflated. They need to just settle themselves down and realize that they're there for the benefit of the athlete. They have made many mistakes, as with other people before them, but then you must try to improve as you go along. What they did to Lacee was despicable. I would say that to any of them to their face. I don't have anything first. I don't hate any of them, but facts are facts. They need to be held accountable for the way they handled that. It was wrong. It's a disgrace to the Cayman Islands.
Thank you so
I
much.
just wanted to point out those things and to say, Lacee, continue to stand strong as a young lady and to be a role model. Don't let this deter you, because if it had, people like myself, your mother, and all the other coaches who remain where we are because we're passionate. And I want to say, yes, a person does not have to be a great athlete to be a good coach. Oftentimes, some of the best coaches are people who were not athletes. But yes, I do believe when you're an athlete that has been through all that Lacee has been through and has the experience that she has and has been exposed to some of the best coaches. Lacee has been coached by Coach Williams, but Lacee has spent a lot of time in Grenada under Coach Paul. Coach Paul produced a world champion and an Olympic champion, and they don't even have half of the things that we have. Some of these people on these committees make decisions. I can remember clearly when they didn't want Alex Pascal to go away because they say he was going to be blown away, because he wasn't ready. Alex went and won the silver medal. So, there are these things. So the association needs to just realize that they're there because the people put them there. I think it's time for many of them to be gone. Not because of anything personal, but because they clearly show and demonstrate that they cannot handle the position.
Thank you, caller. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, I think, never adding any new blood to the association is also, in my opinion, problematic. Lacee, we really appreciate you taking the time. We're going to be wrapping up here shortly. I saw a few more people calling in. Let me just give one of them a call back because we are kind of winding up here. Cece says revamp the entire association and send Sidoni and her rapist husband on their way because I, for one, don't want him around my kids. Well, he's no longer in Cayman, to be clear. He's, I guess, overseas coaching somebody else's kids in America. Caller,
Hello.
good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning. I only had one question. Is Mr. Donny husband being paid by the Cayman Islands Athletic Association?
Well, he's overseas, so I don't know what he'd be paid for. I hope not.
Well, wasn't he there? Whatever he was doing with his wife at the Carifta game. Isn't that
well,
what
when he was here, was he involved in Carifta at all, Sidoni? I mean, sorry, Lacee. My apologies. I forgot Lacee called her Sidoni. My apologies. Was he involved? You don't know anything about him, I guess. I don't know.
When it comes to her personal life and her husband, I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, he was a coach. I'm guessing he was track and field because that was his area. But I think he worked. Didn't he have a government job as a coach? I mean, I think he was an official coach anyway. So somebody was paying him. Government was paying him, I'm sure.
But what I'm saying is, was he there? Was he there at this event now? This last Carifta game?
No. He lives in the States. So I'm assuming he does whatever.
I had heard that he was.
No.
This Carifta game also.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Okay. All right, honey.
Okay. All right.
Good. All right. So let's just do a couple more online comments. Miss Morna says, Sandy, this topic brings tears to my eyes. What a hot mess to our beautiful Cayman Islands and our athletes. Well done, Miss Barnes. Please don't give up. May the blessings continue to flow on you. Shame, shame, shame. Miss Olive says, y'all didn't say when she bring home a medal for Cayman when she's born. Have nothing to do with it. Yeah, I mean, that conversation, obviously, someone brought that up. And this is something else that I have noticed, and I want to touch on this because I think it's important. Listen, when we have athletes, because, even the athletes that won, everybody's like, oh, well, where are they really from? Listen to me. They're here in the Cayman Islands. They're growing up here. Some of them were born Caymanians. They are Caymanians, right? I don't care where their mama from, where their daddy from. If they're granted twice removed, happens to be from Trinidad, Jamaica, whatever, we are accepting these young people as our own. We can't pick, choose, and refuse when somebody's Caymanian and when they're not. Just like, to be fair to them, they shouldn't be picking and choosing and refusing either. So this cuts both ways. If you are a Caymanian, you are a Caymanian no matter what. When the going gets tough, you're a Caymanian. When it's all a bed of roses, you are a Caymanian, right? You can't pull out another passport and be like, yeah, okay, well, today I'm going to be a Jamaican because the currency rate is better in Jamaica, or tomorrow I'm going to be British or whatever. Listen to me. You're representing the Cayman Islands, right? We need to accept these athletes and, just generally speaking, people as Caymanians, and they need to accept as well the fact that they are Caymanians, good, bad, indifferent, whatever the situation is. So I don't want this conversation to digress about, I saw somebody saying, oh, well, she was originally in Jamaica, whatever. Sidoni has been accepted in the Cayman Islands as a Caymanian from, time longer than rope type of situation. Okay. If she's bad-minded, then we have to accept her as a bad-minded Caymanian. That's what I'm going to say. Morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. I'm so sorry to call back, but I forgot to mention one thing when I had called before. I just wanted to say that based on what happened to Lacee and her husband there in the Bahamas, that because I have friends in the Bahamas as well, and what I can tell you is that it left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and by the Bahamian athletes, by the way, well-known athletes, and they generalized it as, why has Cayman come here to air their dirty laundry? They need to keep that in their country. Don't bring it here. And none of them agreed with the way Lacee was handled. That, like I said, could have been done very professionally, very quietly. No police or soldiers needed to be called. You had 3 members of the executive body there. They could have walked down to her and said, Lacee, just walk with us, please. We need to speak to you. And that would have been the end of it, But like I said, I'm so sorry. I think my emotions got the best of me this morning, and my tongue is not working in line with my thoughts. But again, this is not a good smell. It's not a good look. It's not a good taste for any Caymanian. And it is so sad because there was our swimming team over in Curacao starring,
Yes.
And then they got the news as well. How do you think it made them feel?
Exactly.
They all know Lacee. They've all looked up to Lacee. And what it does leave here is a distaste for every young athlete, male or female, to say, why would I even want to get involved in this if this is what I'm going
That's
to do
right. Because, honey
change
child,
it?
I'm sitting here thinking to myself as a parent, I'm like, Lord Jesus, I already told my daughter, no, she definitely not doing any beauty queen stuff because that hot mess. Now I'm sitting here going, do I want her involved in Cayman athletics if this is really what's going on? It puts a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
But if I could say to you, Sandra, as a parent, Lacee's not a parent yet. Let me just say, please, do not let this incident discourage you or anyone with children who aspire to be athletes. We have to rise above this, and Lacee is going to get her apology that is needed. Let me just add this also. The other thing that was circulating, I don't know if Lacee knows this or not, and perhaps she can offer some more, information on it. But when you see something like that happening, even if that had happened in Cayman, the first instinct is that person has done something wrong. And of course, with being athletics, you want to think your mind is going to go to, oh my God, they've brought steroids to the athletes. That's what's been reported. That's why the soldiers have come to get them, and so on.
Yeah.
And even if no one wants to offer her an apology for this atrocious, unnecessary action, at least clarify that she committed no crimes. She's in no way associated or tied to feeding the athletes steroids. And I can speak to this, Sandra, like you said, I was an athlete, okay? So I know all of the little creases and crevices here that can go negatively. And you and I both know that a lie can make it around the world twice before the truth can get out of bed. So this needs to be rectified. Even if no one feels that an apology is necessary,
absolutely.
at least correct the narrative.
Thank you so much, caller.
Thank
Cece.
you so much for allowing me.
Yes, I appreciate that. And Cece also agrees, says she deserves a public apology from the association because this was humiliating and disrespectful. Rashawn says cleanse out the committee and make Lacee the new head of the committee. Alejandro says they got too much ego and I feel sorry it's going to blow off soon without anything being said. Miss Lucy says, good morning, Sandy. Real talk, spot it out. We're born good or bad. They need to stop tearing down one another. Love you all. Stay safe. So Alejandra says she is going to get the apology. Well, I mean, an apology would be nice. I guess we'll have to see whether or not that is forthcoming. Everybody, I think there's a general consensus. Even Melita is saying that this is embarrassing. She can't believe that this has happened. This is not, we talk about Caymankind. So when other people come into the Cayman Islands, we talk about showing them Caymankind. It's shocking to me that we're often not showing it to each other. And when we are traveling abroad, my God, you would think that if there was a time to show Caymankind, it would be then, but clearly something has gone amiss. Just one final comment I wanted to read that I saw come in from Cayman Detailing. Cayman Detailing says, I lost a contract maintaining the tourism board vehicles for voicing my opinion, disagreeing on who won Miss Cayman. Do I care? No. So here we go again. The people who contributed to this mess should lose their job. Don't care what position or level, 100%. What do you think, Lacey, would be the outcome that you would want to see from this?
I mean, obviously, I think a public apology is needed just because, the display was public. It was in front of people that I know, people from other countries and the team. Public apology would definitely need to be needed. As going forward with the association, I don't really have much comment on that right now. This situation is still pretty fresh, and we just have to see where it goes from now. But if I do have any last comments, at the end of the day, first and foremost, what's most important are these athletes. And my husband and I, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to be at the track this week, training and helping assist where we need to be. And that's what matters. And that should be the main focus for the association, wherever they end up after this.
Mm-hmm. Very good. All right, folks, that's Lacee Barnes Riley. Lacey, thank you very much for coming on the program and for being open and transparent and sharing from your perspective, what went down. Someone said, we should have Sidoni on. Well, Sidoni, Mother Still, and anybody else on the Athletic Association, if you guys wish to come onto the program, we're more than happy to have you hear your side of events to understand what was going through your head. Maybe that might shed some light on this. We don't really know until we hear from you. But you're also welcome to come on, because this really, I think, makes the association look bad. And this should not have been the focus this weekend. And unfortunately, it was. In terms of our athletes, I do want to say, one more quick point that somebody made, which I think is really, really important here. This young man, hold on, let me read this comment for you guys. I think this is critical. This person says, that there's a special rate for accommodations for teams based on size. There's a cap on how much the local organizing committee can charge countries, normally US $200 per night, and that's where the ratio comes in. Teams can pay an additional fee if more officials are part of the team. However, since Lacey wasn't part of the team and paid her own way, this shouldn't have impacted Cayman's ratio. One coach has to be female. It's a private organization and government limited by what they can do. I'm glad that they mentioned Brianna. It's Devontae that has his own coach. And here he is pictured at this Carifta with his own coach. Mm-hmm. So I think that hopefully that has added some additional light. So we'll see. So again, congrats. The teams are returning this evening. Lacey, I know you're getting ready yourself to go to the airport as well. So I do want to remind everyone, I'm just trying to look for that message real quick. Can somebody send it back to me on WhatsApp? That the teams are returning this evening. So if you can go out and support them, despite all this foolishness by the Athletic Association, let's go out and support Cayman. It's all about the young people first and foremost. I'll post it up on our social media and invite all of you to come out and cheer our young people on and support them in any way that you can, because really and truly, they're the focus. And we can't ever, take that away from them. As soon as I find it, I'll post it up. So yes, thank you again, Lacey, for coming on the show. We appreciate you being willing to just share your experiences with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Sandra.
Mm-hmm. All right, wonderful. All right, folks. So again, that's Lacee Barnes Riley. Quite an unfortunate situation. did somebody just send me the flyer? Here it is. What? Oh, beautiful. So the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Culture and Heritage, will be having a welcome home event for athletes this evening. So please, this afternoon, I should say, please come out and participate in that. Let me just show you guys all of this. So here we go. So we've got an arrival charter at 2 p.m. for the swim team. Track and field is coming in on British Airways at 4 p.m. and they will be welcome at the arrival hall at the Owen Roberts International Airport. Now, I had something else booked for 2 o'clock this afternoon, but I'm going to try to rejiggle my schedule a little bit to see if I can be there for the 2 p.m. one, because I think that might be an issue. But anyway, we'll see if we can work it out. So again, Miss Brenda says, came on proud, Lacee. Dean says, kudos to you, Lacee. Such a bright spark to Cayman and beyond. Keep your head high, young lady. Every blessing onward to you and Riley. So again, KK, he got his own coach because they can take him. The person who provided that information says that they're not part of the national coaching allowance. They pay their own way and they do their own thing, but athletes can take their own coaches. Even Lacee said that earlier. So that really begs further clarification, even more so. I'm royally confused by that whole situation. What a hot mess. The question of why are athletes not being sent in proper gear? The ministry needs to comment on this, especially since they're providing funding. We're definitely going to try to get to the bottom of those questions. We'll send the association additional questions, folks, in hopes that they will respond to it. Again, an open invitation. We'll put it in writing. We'll send it to them. Let them know that they can certainly come on the program if they wish. That's what we got for you. Let's go ahead and play now our news segment. First of all, I want to express our condolences to Kevin Watler and his family. His beloved grandmother passed away on Easter morning in the early hours, and he is on island now. He came as quickly as he could from Tampa. So, our condolences to the entire Watler family for the loss of their matriarch, Kevin's grandmother. She was, I think, in her 80s. She was actually doing really, really well for her age, I must say. So, such a sad situation. And, he's still getting the news up, folks, despite the loss of his granny. He's such a trooper. So we really appreciate you, Kevin. And just such a sad situation. So, and here's your news buzz for today. 85 years old. Thank you, Wayne. And condolences to you, Wayne, as well. Wayne and Kevin are cousins. Uh-oh, oops, wrong one. Hold on. Let me grab the correct news. That was a commercial, honey chill. Let me get the daily news buzz. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Here's a summary of some of Cayman's latest headlines. A resident in Savannah who had several pieces of jewelry valued at over US $20,000 stolen from her home is asking for help to recover the items. She is offering a reward for returning these items and is also willing to not press charges if the perpetrator who stole the items returns them. 3 Suriname nationals, including a mother and her daughter who pleaded guilty to smuggling about 3 kilograms of cocaine in the soles of 10 pairs of sneakers into the Cayman Islands last year, were sentenced to prison on Wednesday. One was sentenced to 9 years in prison, the other sentenced to 6 years and 7 months in prison, and the other sentenced to 8 years and 3 months. After giving over 42 years of service to the people of the Cayman Islands, Marjorie Reeve bid farewell to the Ministry of Tourism and Ports last week. She began her service in 1982 at the tender age of 17 in the post of Clerical Assistant of the Executive Council, now known as the Cabinet Office. She worked closely under Jenny Manderson, who was the clerk of the Executive Council at the time. Now for your CMR weather update, it's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:11. Sunny skies are expected with the temperatures at 84 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity at 64% like the forecast calls for. It will feel like it's in the high 80s. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour and the sun sets at 6:42. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the mid-70s. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected. If you would like to know more on any of these stories, visit CaymanMallRoad.com or follow Cayman Mall Road on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.